what you need. No deductibles, dollar caps, or drama. Claims get paid.
Extended Optimum.
Don't drive another unprotected mile. Contact your Freightliner or Western Star dealer or visit extendedoptimum.com.
Were you hopeful for less chance of an inspection delay at the roadside in 2021? Compared to the 2020 pandemic year, you were disappointed as inspection likelihood rose from 2020 levels substantially. That's according to the new comprehensive analysis from Overdrive Magazine's decade-long CSA's Data Trail series. But the 2022 series update shows that state truck enforcement departments still aren't back to pre-COVID inspection levels. Learn more about this today. There are some new risks, though, in rising moving violations as well as hours of service detention. You can determine your own roadside risk with 48 state rankings in many inspection and violation categories. Download the full report via overdriveonline.com. Navigate to the regulations section to find the CSA's Data Trail 2022 update. That's overdriveonline.com in the regulations section. And check out CSA's Data Trail 2022 update today.
The St. Christopher Truckers Relief Fund is excited to once again offer its diabetes prevention program, Driving Down Diabetes. This free CDC-approved year-long program begins January 9, 2023, with live webinars focusing on nutrition, movement, stress management, sleep, and more. Sponsored by Southern Recipe, this program is for those at risk not already diagnosed with diabetes. Go to truckersfund.org, take the risk assessment located under the Health and Wellness tab, and sign up today.
WWTN, Hendersonville, Nashville.
From the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Studios, Super Talk 99.7.
WTN. 5 o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to have a lot more sunshine today than we had yesterday. I didn't get any sunshine at my house yesterday. Just cold wind and rain. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Israel at war, continuing coverage. Here's Richard Cantu.
President Biden later today leaves for Israel to personally show support after the Hamas attack.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken revealed the trip in a late-night announcement from Tel Aviv after meeting with Netanyahu and his war cabinet for nearly 8 hours. President Biden will also stop in Jordan with plans to meet with Arab leaders, including Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
ABC's Justin Finch, 2,000 U.S. troops might go to the region.
The troops could provide intelligence and medical support. They would be deployed to bases outside Israel, all part of the rapidly growing show of U.S. force, a second carrier strike group, soon joining the USS Ford and its warships in the Mediterranean. A senior U.S. official telling me that U.S. intelligence has now determined there have been a number of activities with Hezbollah and in Iran that are worrisome.
ABC's Martha Raddatz.
Here in Tennessee, Knox News says all members of a traveling group from First Baptist Church in Knoxville have safely left Israel. Right now in Tennessee, we're waiting to see what the Court of Appeals decides in the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto and related writings case. The 3-judge panel heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing Covenant School, the Covenant Presbyterian Church, and Covenant School parents to intervene in the case to argue against ever releasing that material. Their attorney said it would lead to suicides if that information ever gets out to the public. Those seeking the public release of the material, including the Tennessee Star and the Tennessean and other media outlets, argued there is no law allowing crime victims to intervene and block the release of records. Police say Audrey Hale left behind the manifesto and related documents outlining her attack on the school with maps and action plans, but claim they have not determined her motive. Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Chuck Severson.
Stocks rose with some of the worries about the Israel-Hamas war unwinding. The Dow jumped 314 points, the Nasdaq adding 161. The S&P closing up 46 points. Crude oil prices slipped, gold fell. Investors had moved to them last week with worries about stocks and geopolitical turmoil. It's a busy week for earnings. More than 50 companies in the S&P 500, the broadest of the indices, will report their summer earnings in the coming days, and many Many of them are expected to report better than expected numbers. The CEO of Ford is urging striking UAW workers to return to the bargaining table as soon as possible. Bill Ford telling them, "We can stop this now." He says the company's made plenty of offers, all of which the union has rejected. The UAW still demanding better pay and benefits and a 4-day work week. A number of Rite Aid pharmacies may be closing their doors now that the company has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection.
All right. Ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street, let's check futures. Right now, the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P appear to be headed a little bit lower today. Dow futures off 58, S&P down 8, NASDAQ down 26. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
we talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
507 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into Tuesday, October 17th. Man, there's a lot of news to tell you about. One of the big headlines that I've been discussing is Iran about to bomb Israel preemptively. That is a very big deal, and that is a threat that Iran has been making. As a matter of fact, they said that this could be something that is going to happen in the next several hours, and they said this several hours ago. So all eyes are on Tehran, and all eyes, of course, are on Israel as well, and their 400 and their 400,000 troops right there on the Gaza border. So that is a story that we need to continue to tell you about. Also, the president, he is on his way to Israel. And can I just say, I don't know why Biden is going to Israel. I don't know what the whole purpose is, but this is something that the president is hell-bent on doing. And this is, he manages to fall flat on his face every time he goes out of the country. Have you noticed that? That is a pattern, right? Where every time Biden goes out of the country, he manages to embarrass us on the world stage. Well, with this whole Israel-Hamas situation, he has embarrassed us on the world stage already, because the world knows that these attacks by Hamas, they were funded by Joe Biden and his allowing Iran to sell all of that oil and lifting sanctions and looking the other way, allowing Iran to get tens of billions of dollars in oil. And so this is something that the president has done. And as I said yesterday, that I would love to see someone ask the president of Israel, or ask our president about apologies. Hey, Benjamin Netanyahu, do you feel like Joe Biden owes you an apology for funding the Hamas attack? Hey, Joe Biden, do you feel like you owe Benjamin Netanyahu an apology because you funded the Hamas attack? I think it's a legit question. So there's that story for you. A couple of other things going on. Should Joe Biden run again? He was asked by Scott Pelley the other night when he did the interview with Pelley, the complete just, lapdog interview that Scott Pelley did with Joe Biden. Donald Trump had a thing or two to say about that. I'll get into that as the morning continues to progress. But one of the things that Pelley did ask the president was, do you feel like, and do you really want to run, and you think you could last another 4 years? This is how that conversation went.
Again. Yes, because I'm sure, look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point.
Listen to how old and tired he sounds. I mean, he sounds awful. Remember yesterday we were talking about how the, Pelley, he set up this whole interview and he's talking about how, Biden has all of these meetings and all of these phone calls and he's got so much to do, and he was able to wedge us in. Well, then in reality, he only had a couple of events scheduled for the entire day, and they were like 6 hours apart. So when Pelley asks the question,
are you sure that you want to run again? Yes, because I'm sure, look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point. The world's changing, but we have an opportunity to make it. So imagine if we were able to succeed in getting the Middle East put in place where we have normalization of relations. I think we can do that. Imagine what happens if we, in fact, unite all of Europe and Putin is finally put down where he cannot cause the kind of trouble he's been causing. We have enormous opportunities. Are you?
Yeah, and listen, I'm sure that he thinks that he's got an opportunity to unite the Middle East and unite all of Europe and put Vladimir Putin down. I'm sure that he believes that he has a shot of doing that. But didn't Barack Obama say, never underestimate Joe Biden's ability to screw things up? Yet there he goes off to Israel. We'll have to see what happens. By the way, in that audio bite that I just played for you, didn't mention America once. Did you pick up on that? He talked about the Middle East. He spoke about Europe, but not a word about the American people. Do the American people even want him running again? The answer to that question is no. I've got some new polling numbers for you from ABC that I'm going to tell you about. But I can't imagine this latest situation where he's arming Iran and Hamas. The Democrats, they don't want him to run again. And the more that the American people begin to realize just how involved Joe Biden was in arming Hamas through Iran, the more people are going to realize, well, this is like another Afghanistan. Latest polling shows that 64% of Americans feel like we are going in the wrong direction. Biden's job disapproval rate is at 54%. There's a lot of talk, of course, about what is going on with the borders and foreign policy and the economy. Joe Biden is underwater on literally every single one of those issues. Janet Yellen, these people have no shame. Janet Yellen actually said this about the economy.
Look, the American economy is doing extremely well. Inflation has been high, and it's been a concern to households. It's come down considerably. At the same time, we have about the strongest labor market we've seen in 50 years with 3.8% unemployment. And at the same time, America, the Biden administration, has passed legislation that is strengthening our economy in the years to come for the medium term.
So basically, she's saying the economy's great. Well, if you're one of the 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, last year with inflation up towards 9% and over, it decimated our savings. So we've got a number of different things that are going on as it relates to the economy. Most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Most of us are trying to recover from inflation over 9% last year. And most of us are trying to recover our savings. Oh, and how about a fourth one? How about all that credit card debt that you owe, the high interest credit card debt that you owe? Because you were forced to use your credit card to pay for things like gas and groceries because of Bidenflation. So we still haven't recovered from that. And so when Biden says, well, I want to unite the Middle East, I want to unite Europe, and I've got all these great things to do on the world stage, the American people are raising their hand and they're saying, well, what about us? What have you done for us lately? And I think we all know the answer to that question. Big old nothing. And the American people know that. And so when they're asked the question, when there's a poll that comes out, it's obviously a snapshot of where we are today as a nation. That is not good news for Joe Biden. I'm going to give you some of the numbers straight ahead. It is 5:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much, Jack. Partly sunny today, a high of 63, right now 48 at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. The Super Text line is open, 615-737-9986, 615-737-WWTN. So there is, again, a lot to look into with these numbers, where Joe Biden has all of 26% of an approval rating for immigration and border security. 26%. That is a negative 44. 29% of an approval rating on inflation. 32% approval rating on gun violence. 32% approval rating on crime. 33% of an approval rating on Iran. And by the way, that's going to get lower the more people understand exactly what Joe Biden did to aid Iran and, paying Hamas and paying for the attacks on Israel. 36% of an approval on the economy, 39% of an approval on climate change, 39% approval on abortion, 41% approval on Ukraine and the Russian war, and finally 41% approval rating on his dealing with the Israel and Hamas war, which, there's a lot that we need to learn about the Israel and Hamas war. And of course, our coverage will continue here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Bottom line is, Joe Biden is not doing well, and this is going to be an interesting trip for the president out to Israel, and we'll have to see what the reaction is. I'm going to tell you what the reaction is going to be. You're going to have Benjamin Netanyahu, and you're going to have, all all the leaders out there in Israel, and it's going to be, a solid, solid force of encouragement and support from America and Joe Biden and Benjamin Netanyahu. Everybody's going to, smile in front of the cameras. But I hope they have these conversations behind the scenes about what Biden has done. Now, Donald Trump says he's going to bring back the travel ban. Now, I'm calling it the travel ban because that's what it is. But a lot of these folks, the leftists, the media, the Democrats, they're going to call it the Muslim ban. But it's not. It's the travel ban, and we're going to talk about this. But this is what the president said last night on the campaign trail.
But as I've already said many, many times before, I will immediately reinstate and expand the wildly successful Trump travel ban on entry from terror-plagued countries, territories, and places. We're going to. They ended it. And it just kept us safe. We wouldn't let people come in from certain countries where there's tremendous terror. Makes sense, right? If you're coming from somewhere full of people who want to kill Americans, we will not let you in. We worked very hard on that.
Yeah, and this is how Reuters puts it, doubling down on the hard-line immigration policies that have long amplified and animated his base. Former President Donald Trump on Monday vowing to bar refugees from the Gaza and immediately expand his first-term Muslim travel ban if he wins a second term following the deadly attack on Israel last week. Now, here's the deal. It's not a Muslim ban, and you folks that have been listening to me for a long time know exactly what I'm going to say. His original ban banned people, and really it was more of a travel pause, but from 7 majority Muslim countries. You had Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, and Yemen. And that was a pause for 90 days with certain exceptions. Also suspended refugee settlement for 120 days and banned Syrian refugees indefinitely. So it wasn't a Muslim ban. It was, a pausing of, some of these folks from these countries coming into our country that were riddled with terrorism. That was the whole point. Iran, Iraq, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, Syria, Yemen, those are all, again, riddled with terrorism. If this really was truly a Muslim ban, then he would have banned people coming in from, for example, Indonesia, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and Egypt, where you have hundreds of millions of Muslims in those countries. And guess what? They were not banned. So this is going to be painted as, oh my gosh, it's so racist, and here comes Donald Trump's Muslim ban and so forth. No, I wouldn't call it the Muslim ban. I would call it the extremist ban. It is 5:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If, on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now, that's the idea. Now, if you want to learn more about our approach to investing in financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Relatives speaking out after Hamas hostage videos released. Covenant school shooter writings case update. Former President Trump, you got to hear what he's saying after that gag order. Gasoline prices going in the right direction. These stories and more at 5:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 527 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Trump and Ron DeSantis and many others, by the way, agree no refugees from Palestine. That is one of the headlines that's out there today from the Daily Wire. And I've got some audio that I'm going to play from both a little bit later on this topic. But then you have this, because, you know, the Republicans are going to be called, oh, what a bunch of racists. We should be taking in all of these refugees, right? That's what the left will say. Well, this is on Twitter. The King of Jordan just stated during a press conference with Germany's chancellor, there will be no refugees coming to Jordan. There will also be no refugees in Egypt. So apparently nobody wants these refugees. Despite the condemnation, they say, and calls for humanitarian access, neither neighboring country seems willing to accept these refugees. And I wonder why that is. Is it because, Egypt has come out and literally said this. Egypt has said that these refugees, they don't know who they are. What have we heard this before? They don't know who these folks are. And that is Israel's problem. And that's the problem of the Palestinian people. And they don't want those problems to become Egypt's problem. And again, the King of Jordan also agrees. It is 5:28 on Nashville's Morning News. Okay, coming up. We've got big news on the speaker race, including some great audio from Jim Jordan that I'm going to play coming up in the 6 o'clock hour. That story for you and a whole lot more straight ahead on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. Johnny, I'm assuming that Super Talk TV is up and running. We also have the Super Text line also up, and you folks are active today. And a very compelling question that I've been asked that I'm going to respond to during the Gang of Three Amigos straight ahead on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fall is here. That means that winter is next, and you're going to make sure that your home's heater is working by calling my friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Let me give you that number right now. It is 615-775-7833. You need to become a Beehive member. That means that you're going to ensure that you are running at peak efficiency for maximum comfort. And if your heater does break down, Beehive members, like me, get front-of-the-line service. So when hundreds or maybe thousands of homes are without heat, you are going to get service first. Becoming a Beehive member also means you get 3 thorough maintenance services a year, including plumbing, plus no overtime charges 24/7 and 10% off of all repairs. So call them and tell them Dan told you to reach out. 615-775-7833, 615-775-7833, BusyBeeHVAC.com.
5:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to get some sun today. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Continuing coverage, Israel-Hamas war. Here's Sherry Preston.
Relatives speaking out after the release of Hamas hostage videos. In one of them, 21-year-old Maya Shem is heard saying, "I just asked that you bring me home." Her mother, Karen, reacting,
"I'm begging the world to bring my baby back home."
Shem says she didn't know her daughter was alive until yesterday. President Biden is heading to Israel tomorrow, says ABC's Justin Finch.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken revealed the trip in a late-night announcement from Tel Aviv after meeting with Netanyahu and his war cabinet for nearly 8 hours. President Biden will also stop in Jordan with plans to meet with Arab leaders, including Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas.
The U.S. has been working to break the deadlock over delivering aid to millions of civilians in the Gaza Strip. Aid workers are warning that the territory is near complete collapse without electricity and food and very little clean water.
Right now in Tennessee, family and friends are relieved to learn all members of the Knoxville First Baptist Church that went to Israel are safely out of Israel. That group went there to trace the footsteps of Jesus, but had to cut the trip short due to Hamas attacks. Here in Tennessee, we're waiting for the state appeals court ruling on the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto and related writings case. The 3-judge panel heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing the school, the church, and some parents of the school to intervene to block the public release of that material. No timeline was given for when the panel will rule. And former President Trump telling supporters he will appeal that gag order imposed on him in his federal election interference case. A federal judge saying he's trying to prevent a pretrial smear campaign. More from Andrew Dembert.
During a rally in Iowa last night, Trump saying he's willing to spend time behind bars.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
The gag order imposed by the federal judge yesterday will limit what Trump can say about the case, about potential witnesses, and about the prosecutor, special counsel Jack Smith.
Trump has pleaded not guilty. Money news, gasoline prices moving lower. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy puts the average at $3.18 per gallon. That's 36 cents lower than last month. Nationwide, it's down 11 cents to $3.58 a gallon. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 5:33 on WTN. If you need a lawnmower, furniture, or appliances, the place you've got to go is my place. DT McCall's, either online or in person. Now, you go to their website, it's dtmccalls.com, and you can check out their incredible selection of everything you need for your home, your garage, or your yard. DT McCall's, the price on the tag there is always the price. They don't try and sneak in additional charges. This is what I've been calling Middle Tennessee values. They've been here in the volunteer state for nearly 100 years, treating people right and doing what's right, offering great products at fair prices. So check them out today. 5 locations across Middle Tennessee. No doubt one near you. As always, please tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. Carthage, Cookeville, Lebanon, Lafayette, and Franklin, always online at dtmccalls.com.
Today's show happened because I saw a comment. He said, why don't you do something on doves and dove fields and how to find them and things like that. So
yeah, all right.
Good idea. It's past the opening day, but like you said, it can work.
Yeah.
Because the season is long. It runs for 90 days and there's 3 segments, so we're going to cover all that today. Let's rattle off the season. September 1 through September 28th is the first segment of Dove, and then October 14th through November 5th, and then December 8th through January 15th. 15 is your bag limit. So September 1 is opening day, and that's at noon in Tennessee.
September 1st has been one of those days. I mean, you'll see guys. I mean, they'll take off work. Have big cooking and getting together with friends, and it's kind of neat to see.
Yeah.
Historically, it's a huge social event. I'd say the majority of the hunters probably hunt opening day, opening weekend, and then won't pick up a shotgun until next year. So,
we have 2 other segments besides this one. Running in October, and then even all the way through January 15th. There's a lot of opportunity throughout the year.
On our website, tnwildlife.org, on our homepage, you can click the button there to dove hunting info and fields is what the button's titled. It's got all the information on dove hunting. You can find the fields there. So let's talk about how to find a field. You click on Region 2, it pulls up the options that are available, and get down to Bark Camp Barrens, and you see it's open statewide. So the hunting's not over there. There's still opportunity. Even though we had a big opening day, let it die down a little bit and get back in there. You're going to have some good hunting, I think, there, sounds like, anyway.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Nashville's Morning News on WTN. I'm here at the Nashville Rescue Mission doing the interviews that I look forward to doing every single year. These are incredible stories of people who have had amazing recoveries. Thanks to this amazing facility, they are able to get clean and lead a more productive life. The date of our annual radiothon is going to be Monday, November 20th. Listen in and please donate. You can get more information at 99.7 WTN, including a link to the website for Nashville's Rescue Mission. .37 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on into the gang of 3 amigos. I'm Dan. Ken's over there. Johnny is perplexing me a little bit. Johnny, is everything okay?
I need my earphones, Dan.
Really, Johnny? We do the same thing every day, and Johnny doesn't have his headphones. You know, Johnny, when I was, and Ken, I'll talk to you while Johnny runs to skedaddle and go get his headphones.
His cans. That's what we call it in the business. You call them cans.
I never once in my life have called a pair of headphones cans.
Every engineer I've ever known has called them cans.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about engineers calling them cans, but that's what they call them.
Best part about all this, Ken?
Yeah.
Johnny actually has to go out into the hallway, find the key to his locker, open his locker, and then come back.
To go get his cans.
You know, were you a Boy Scout, Ken?
No. I was a Cub Scout. I was not allowed in the Boy Scouts.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
Well, I
didn't want to continue.
You know,
I'd have been a good Boy Scout.
You know who? You know who definitely. Wait till he gets his headphones on. You know who definitely was not a Boy Scout, Ken?
Who's that?
Johnny. Do you know?
Johnny B.
Do you know why, Johnny? Do you know what the Boy Scouts motto is?
Be prepared.
You were not a Boy Scout, my friend.
No, I wasn't.
I
was a Cub Scout, though.
You and Ken were both Cub Scouts.
Yes.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Is the motto really "Be prepared"?
For Boy Scouts? Yeah.
It is?
Yes.
Way to go, brother Johnny B.
How about that?
See, you would have been able to fill out one of those sheets at the end of the book, which I never got to do because I didn't complete those tasks.
Do you know who the world's worst Boy Scout was?
No.
Me.
Dan Mandis.
What happened, brother Dan? Didn't know how to make fire with two sticks?
No, I didn't. I hated every single second of it. Yeah, you ever, your parents ever, let's go around the room very quickly.
Okay.
What did your parents make you do when you were a kid that you absolutely hated? So I had a number of things. Number one was Boy Scouts. Number two was piano lessons. Number three was guitar lessons. And I just realized very quickly that I sucked at everything.
How long did you last in piano lessons, Dan?
Do you know what's so funny? The piano teacher actually, my mom told me this years ago. The piano teacher actually went to my mother and said, "No,
It's not.
it's not working."
Even at risk of no longer getting that check.
Yeah.
She said, just.
Piano teacher, I think she'd make like $35 a pop, and she's like, "Just please keep it.
Yes.
Just release me from this hell of trying to teach, 10-year-old Danny Mandis how to play the stupid piano." Now,
let me ask you this. Whenever you'd get to a difficult part and it wouldn't work out, would you say, oh, well, never mind? Or would you say, moving on?
No, you know what? I would try.
That's good.
And then you know what I would do? And this drove her. I just stopped playing. You're like my mind would seize at 10 years old. You know what she did make me do, though? She made me play baseball. And so that was actually something that I appreciate.
Right.
When my mother made me play baseball, although it didn't catch on with me early on.
Right.
I was the kid out there in right field picking out the dandelions, So
running from bees.
Running from bees. Yes, that still happens today. Anyway, Johnny, what was something that your parents made you do?
Well, Cub Scouts was one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then another that I absolutely couldn't stand. My parents worked the road a lot, and I would end up having to stay with somebody that worked in Dad's office.
Oh, yeah.
And I hated that.
Yeah.
I hated staying with those families.
Yeah.
Because the kids would be mean.
Were you bullied, Johnny?
I was bullied, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, these kids were awful.
Listen, Johnny builds character. Rub some dirt in it.
And plus, the guy that the house I was staying at, he was an alcoholic.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that's
that's
a double whammy.
Yeah, that was a big double whammy.
All right, this went dark.
It sure did, didn't it?
Ken.
Well, I've said it before, man. My parents made me go to church.
Yeah.
I mean, we went Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday. And if there was revival, by God, we were there every freaking night.
Wow.
How about an all-night singing? Did you have to go to those?
No, never went to all-night singing.
Oh, man.
But almost every piano player in the churches growing up was either named Carmelita or there was like some sort of Thelma Lou in the middle of it.
Carmelita or Thelma
Carmelita
Lou?
or Thelma Lou or, I'm a Gene. I'm a Gene. But I will say this. It did lead to me, my faith in Jesus Christ as our Lord and Savior.
Yeah, it was, by God,
So
you're going to get it one way or the other, Ken.
And every now and then, some pretty girls would chase me after sunbeams on Wednesday night.
There you go. I
We
hear
were
that
called sunbeams.
I hear that I'm a Gene had a cousin.
I'm a Gene?
I'm a shirt.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, Brother Dan.
So 7882. Let's just go to the super text line, shall we? And we'll just get to the hate.
Okay.
I wonder if 7882 liked that joke.
I'm sure.
So at 5:11 this morning, 7882 says, Dan, where do you find all that vitriol so early in the morning? You're a damn idiot. I'm not exactly sure where I find all the vitriol, but this morning it's with my third Red Bull of the evening so far.
That's
By
right.
the way, I will point out to 7882 that you, sir, are also packing the vitriol early in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he also says, F you and your employer.
Wow.
Well, listen, I've said that a time or two about my employer, too. So,
Fiddlesticks.
There is that.
I just love the Jay Harper publicity photo. It just adds something to the
Is that
room.
okay? Is that where it's going to live now?
I guess so. I guess it's going to be
Who put that?
living-
Did you do that, Johnny?
I did not.
We're not moving that, man.
Is that just where it's going to stay?
That's where Brother Jay Harper is.
That's right.
Okay.
I can't wait till he's on. I can't wait till he comes up and sees.
It's permanent place.
Oh,
Jay Harper.
Hey, anybody got anything on Suzanne Summers and her death?
Oh, man.
Yeah, I was very bummed.
You know what? She seemed like in real life she was a really nice person.
Yes, she did.
Like she seemed like genuinely a down-to-earth person. And her death it brought memories back to me of, we used to live in such a better time. Such a better time.
Boy, we sure did, didn't we?
With bad TV.
Yeah, with bad TV, but
Come on, knock on our door.
You know what the funny thing was about that show was, you're right, bad writing and bad acting.
And bad singing.
It was just...
But that's all we had back then. We didn't know any better.
And we had that and Too Close for Comfort.
Too Close. I forgot about that show.
Remind me of Too Close for Comfort.
Ted Knight from...
Yes.
From...
he always wore
From Mary Tyler Moore.
Yes.
He always wore a sweatshirt for college teams or whatever it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gosh, I forgot about that show. Ted Knight was funny.
Do you know what?
That guy was funny.
That you're right. That Three's Company theme may have been. It's seared in my memory now, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, I remember as a little kid it just being on.
Come and knock on the door,
and
he's been
we'll be waiting for you.
Oh, the singing was terrible.
So
and they probably live here.
It did have some pretty girls on it, though.
Well, it sure did.
Let me ask you this question. Is Joyce DeWitt now the lone survivor of Three's Company? Because John Ritter's passed away. Suzanne Summers is sadly now gone. I don't know about Richard Klein. Now, Richard Klein, he was actually my favorite character.
Yeah, he was mine as well.
So, who played Larry, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Richard Klein is still alive. And, of course, the Ropers, they left Three's Company to go do the Ropers, and that lasted all of, 3 or 4 episodes?
Yes, about all.
Yeah, it didn't last very long.
Their spinoff.
And Don Knotts is dead. He played
Don,
Mr. Farley.
Yeah.
Right?
Farley.
Right?
That's
Mr. Farley, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know
Jenny
what?
Lee Harrison, who took Suzanne Summers' place.
When times were good and television was bad, the 1970s.
There you go.
Not all television was bad in the 1970s. You had Dallas. You had J.R., Jacques,
Hold
Miss
on.
Ellie.
Hold on. Ken, are you talking about the same show where a dude died and then came back a season later, coming out of the shower, and the whole thing was a dream. Are you saying that Dallas was a great show?
Absolutely.
Okay. Whatever. Hey, you know the great thing
and
about
then you had Dynasty.
Yeah, Dynasty.
The great thing about Suzanne Summers, she took. Would you consider her a great actress?
I don't know about a great actress.
Okay, I'm going to say it this way. Suzanne Summers, I think she had one major role, and Amy told me that she had another role, something about steps, another step or every step, something, whatever. But anyway, she had, Three's Company,
right?
And she left out in a blaze of glory, demanding equal pay, and so she ended up off of Three's Company. But then she took all of that and she started the Thigh Master.
Yes,
and
She was the one who did that?
Yeah.
The Thigh Master? Ken, you don't remember the Thigh Master commercials? Oh, I do.
I thought that was Jamie Lee Curtis.
No.
Fonda. What's her name?
Jane Fonda.
Jane Fonda.
No, Jane Fonda didn't do that.
Well, I'll be.
She did the workout videos.
Yeah, Jane Fonda did the workout videos.
And Suzanne Summers did the Thigh Master.
Yes, she did.
Suzanne Summers did the Thigh Master.
Well, I'll be.
Yes.
And I don't know who else did what, but I always thought Suzanne Summers, she made the most out of her opportunities.
Yes, she did.
And I wish I knew, and maybe somebody knows, how much did she actually make on that Thigh Master?
Now let's look it up.
I mean, it was. Oh, I mean, I know that it was a lot of money, and I guess she was regularly featured on magazine covers in addition to as a fan favorite on the late night talk show circuit.
Yes.
But the media turned against her for taking a stand for herself.
In an interview with the podcast Hollywood Raw in 2022, Summers revealed she made around $300 million from the Thigh Master.
Wow.
She sold 10 million. Okay, do those Thigh Masters even work?
I don't know.
Worked on her.
A lot of things worked on her.
It did.
Summers sold 10 million Thigh Masters in the first 2 years and stopped counting after 1992.
Wow.
She became one of the Home Shopping Network's top-selling brands. She has since authored 27 books, 14 bestsellers, and has clothing, jewelry, health, wellness, and supplement brands in her name. I had no idea she did all that.
Wow.
Good for Suzanne Summers.
You're not kidding.
Did the Thigh Master really work?
You know what? There's got to be a super texter that has a Thigh Master.
Somebody must.
It will help give the appearance of muscles, but not add strength. You'll build muscle, but it's not going to be functional in any way. That's because it works the muscles of the inner thigh in a concentric fashion.
And your new spokesperson, Jay Harper.
Do they still sell Thigh Masters?
Let's ask. Do they still sell Thigh Masters?
Ask Ken.
And if we bought one, which one of us would use it to see if it helped with our inner thighs?
You can get them on Amazon, and it's a 30-day return free of charge if you don't like it.
How much is it?
Let's see here. $67.95.
Good Lord, man. All right.
Or there's $23.99.
Listen, Suzanne Summers has $300 million that she made off of those things, so she's got scoreboard and bank.
Yes, she does.
And there you go, Suzanne
May she
Summers.
rest in peace.
We ought to get us a Thigh Master, boys, and muscle up our thighs.
Nashville's Morning News official Thigh Master.
Start wearing real short shorts around.
Hey, Jay Harper here for Thigh Master.
Hey, by the way, Ken and Johnny, very quickly in like 30 seconds. Johnny, if I could give you a piece of advice.
Yes.
When you have your big meeting downstairs that we're all having to endure, wear long pants.
Oh, yeah. I've got long pants on today.
What are you saying,
Ken is wearing shorts.
Is Ken
He's
wearing
got
shorts
his big
today?
highfalutin meeting with the highfalutin people downstairs, and he wore shorts.
Well, it's like I told you, boys. My hair has grown back on my legs since I stopped wearing long pants.
You know, that's almost as bad as starting a radio segment with no headphones, Ken. It is 5:52 on Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Want to tell you about my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. If you are sick of losing quality of life because of chronic back, neck, or knee pain, Call my friends at the Wellness Institute of Nashville. Now, they can help you today and do it at a reasonable price. And right now, they are offering you half off of spinal decompression therapy for your chronic pain. And not only are they offering half off, but your first appointment is just $23. And that includes your first exam, consultation, x-rays, and that first treatment as well. So call them today. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out at 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. And take advantage of half off spinal decompression therapy for your chronic back, neck, and knee pain. That first appointment, $23, 615-246-5009, painisbad.com.
President Biden travels to Israel to try to de-escalate tensions between Israel and Hamas, which started this war. Details coming up at 6 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so there's a lot of Suzanne Summers fans in the audience, and they are telling me that it was Step by Step. Suzanne Summers played the sheriff in Step by Step. She was also the blonde in American Graffiti. You guys know that?
I didn't know that. I forgot about that.
I'd forgotten about that, too.
Man,
So
I liked her. I liked her a lot.
Yeah, she was cool. Anyway, Suzanne Summers dead one day before she was to turn 77 years old. And folks say, oh, it's so sad that Suzanne Summers died. Well, it is sad that she died, but man, look at what an amazing life she had. And by the way, she also had a terrific husband. I forget, Alan something or another. I remember they actually had I think 46 years of marriage. 46 years of marriage. So anyway, there you go, Suzanne Summers. 5:57, Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk. Now, coming up next, big day for the Republicans in the House of Representatives. Jim Jordan is possibly, maybe, going to become the next speaker. We'll have to wait and see what happens. He's really close. Going to talk about that next on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Six o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Going to see the sun again today. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Continuing coverage now. Israel-Hamas war.
President Biden is set to visit Israel this week to show, Secretary of State Antony Blinken says, unconditional support for Israel.
The president will hear from Israel what it needs to defend its people as we continue to work with Congress to meet those needs.
The U.S. also trying to broker a humanitarian corridor into Gaza so aid can be delivered into the territory pummeled by Israeli airstrikes since last weekend's brutal incursion by Hamas. ABC's Rhiannon Ali has more on what's happening in Gaza right now.
Hospitals are on the verge of losing electricity, threatening the lives of thousands of patients.
We have no medical supplies. We have no gas, no food, no medication. We have nothing.
The director of one hospital in Gaza City telling ABC News last night the only generator that supplies electricity may run out of fuel within hours, and then the hospital will be a mass grave.
The death toll so far, nearly 2,800 in Gaza, more than 1,400 in Israel, most from the initial day of attack.
Here in Tennessee, Knox News says all members of a traveling group from First Baptist Church in Knoxville have safely left Israel. And right now in Tennessee, we're waiting to see what the Tennessee Court of Appeals decides in the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto and related writings case. The 3-judge panel heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing Covenant School, the Covenant Presbyterian Church, and Covenant School parents to intervene in the case to argue against ever releasing that material to the public. Their attorney said it would lead to suicides. Those seeking the public release of the material, including the Tennessee Star and the Tennessean and other media, argued that there is no law allowing crime victims to intervene and block the release of records. Police say Audrey Hale left behind the manifesto and related documents outlining her attack with maps and action plans for her deadly errand, as the Tennessee Star put it, but police claim they have not determined her motive. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
The major stock averages all closed in the green on Monday. The Dow Jones adding 314 points, just under 1% to finish the session 15 points below 34,000. The S&P and NASDAQ composite each picked up more than 1%. Netflix opens the book on its quarterly earnings today, and your subscription rate might soon go up. The streaming giant is expected to report a subscriber count boosted by about 6 million after it began cracking down on password sharing. LinkedIn has cut nearly 700 employees, mainly from its engineering, finance, and human resources divisions. That professional social network has seen year-over-year revenue growth slip for 8 quarters in a row. Home sales also are slowing down, way down. Real estate brokerage Redfin estimates that by the end of this year, existing home sales will hit about 4.1 million, and will be the lowest since 2008. Analysts blame high mortgage rates, record high prices, and a limited inventory.
All right, futures ahead of the opening bell on Wall Street. Dow futures down 71, S&P down 11, NASDAQ down 37. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's Morning News with Dan Mandis.
And go, my fellow Americans.
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:07 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. It is Tuesday, October 17th. Dan here along with Johnny B, Ken Weaver as well. And there is a lot going on. President Biden heading out to Israel. That is going to be a story we continue to cover for the next couple of days. That story for you, as well as a number of other things that are going on, including a big story. Apparently, this is a big for some people. I don't know. Alicia Keys, I believe she is one of the biggest, more popular singers in the world. She is now being absolutely slammed for a tweet that she put out, I think Instagram tweet, whatever it was, but it is being called a sick ode to Hamas terror attacks on Israel. She put out a tweet asking fans if she should start paragliding. And as she was doing that, she was also wearing a jacket with the colors of the Palestinian flag.
Wow.
Can you imagine? And she immediately realized that she screwed up. And I guess she took the post down. But
what a moron.
She is out there saying, no, I did. That's not what I meant. It was completely Really?
I love it when these celebrities show their, you know what?
Their Palestinian colors. Alicia Keys, again, asking fans if she should start paragliding while wearing the colors of the Palestinian flag. Unbelievable. So that story is out there. Surely you're going to be hearing a lot more about that story as the situation continues to unfold. We do have Iran. I was telling you about this in the 5 o'clock hour. Iran is saying that a number of different things. They're saying that they may have to just go ahead and start bombing Israel preemptively. Now, this is not something that you want to hear when your president is on his way to Israel, but that is what Iran is saying, is that if Israel and their 400,000 troops is going to continue to bomb Gaza, if they're going to go into Gaza, then Iran may, they say, start bombing Israel. That is also a big part of the news cycle this morning. And there's a number of different stories that are out there related to the terror attacks and the fallout from a week ago. One of the other things that is going on, and this is part of the news cycle this morning, Hamas supporting Harvard students. And I spent some time on the overnight show talking about these folks. The Hamas supporting Harvard students. Now, these are the ones that put pen to paper and they signed their name. They signed their name onto this document that basically said that Israel had it coming. Free Palestine. You know, that's what they put their names to. And they weren't prepared for the blowback. They weren't prepared for America basically acting and reacting with such revulsion to what they felt is a very legit opinion, that Israel had it coming. And so now what they're doing is they are asking for donations to support their mental health after suffering, they say, relentless bullying over their sickening support of the terror attack on Israel. It was a spirited conversation on the overnight show, Red Eye Radio. I'm guest hosting that show. And we talked about whether or not it was fair for these CEOs to say, yeah, you know what? We want these names of these Harvard students so that we know that we'll never hire them. And this is something that we've been speaking about for the last several days. And so it led to a very spirited conversation on the overnight show, because one of the questions that I posed was, okay, so I would hate to be defined by, some of the things that I no doubt said and felt and wrote when I was a, junior, senior in high school, and my first year or two in college when I was a liberal. I mean, misguided as I was, and so when I had to do term papers and so forth, I would let my progressive, my opinions fly. And so if I read those term papers now, I believe that I burned them at some point, I would be horrified. But see, as several people pointed out, Well, yeah, that might be true, Dan. We should not be judged by, one bad decision that we've made. But when you look at how horrific their opinion is regarding these terror attacks in Israel and about how they are in support over these terror attacks, and you do have the American people repulsed with their opinion. And they got that message loud and clear. Now, apparently, again, they're asking for donations to support their mental health and their mental well-being. And there was a CEO, and this was one of my favorite stories of the day. Then I'm going to get to the speaker race going on, and it's going to have hopefully some sort of conclusion today. But there's a great story, and it's from Fox News. And this guy's name is David Duell, and he is the CEO for a company called Easy Health. Well, he got hold of these names, and he leaked the names of those Israel-hating Harvard students, and he leaked the names to other CEOs who wanted to know these names on his LinkedIn. LinkedIn actually, believe it or not, I'm sure you believe it, shut down his account. Shut it down. And he says that, you know what? He did what he had to do because he really did feel like he was in the right to leak these names. And now, of course, these Harvard students who supported the attack on Israel, now they are really feeling the consequences of their actions.
My family fled their homeland of Iran over 2,000 years due to the Islamic Revolution in 1979. The Persian Jewish community had to flee overnight, a once unimaginable situation. And as a result of my family's experience, I don't take my freedoms and securities for granted. I'm a student of history and anti-Semitism, and I'm aware of how tenuous our safety is in society. Our campuses are supposedly bastions of free speech, but are truly domains of preferred speech at best. I think you and I know very well that in the wake of George Floyd, if white nationalists decided to hold a rally at UCLA or Harvard, it would never be allowed. Yet these same elite institutions are allowing and often encouraging calls of protest for the slaughter and genocide of the Jewish people, chanting "River to the sea, Palestine will be free." These are the same people who so vocally demanded safe spaces for everyone and misgendering to be deemed a human rights violation. So I'm not surprised my account was taken down for sharing a list of students who were advocating for the death and destruction of the Jewish people. We're not talking about arguments over a two-state solution or political divisions of land. We're talking about Hamas.
Yep.
We're talking about terrorism, whose own charter calls for the extermination of the Jews. So I think the hypocrisy and lack of moral clarity on campuses and with administration is conscious or subconscious anti-Semitism, and we need to make sure these students pay a price and that their neighbors, friends, and employers know that they harbor these beliefs.
6:15, I can't say it any better than that. 6:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Think of Jack at 6:16. Your weather today, partly sunny and a high of 63. Right now, it is, Johnny, remind me what the temperature is, if you would. 52 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So it's a big day for the Republicans in the House of Representatives. They will be voting on the fate of one Jim Jordan. Now, he was been doing a lot of smiling and dialing, as we like to say. He's been calling a lot of folks, and, it didn't look good for him. There's a lot of moderates out there that said that there was absolutely no way that they would vote for Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House. But he's been picking up the phone. He's been calling people, and this is what he said last night.
We need to get a speaker tomorrow. The American people deserve to have their Congress, their House of Representatives working. And you can't have that happen until you get a speaker. So we need to do that. Plus, we need to be helping
Keep going
our
over
dearest
and over
friend
again.
and colleague, our dearest friend and closest ally, Israel. We need to help them as well.
Keep going over and over again. Tomorrow you expect multiple roll call
Well,
votes
look, I
tomorrow?
felt good walking into the conference. I feel even better now. We got a few more people we want to talk to, listen to, and then we'll have a vote tomorrow.
And off he goes. And that tomorrow meeting this morning, today. A lot of moderates, by the way, have been hesitant to vote for Jim Jordan. They just don't like him. They don't like what he did to Steve Scalise. I've talked about that a couple of different times. But, you know, one of the things that I've said is that right now it does look good for Jim Jordan, a lot better than it did this time yesterday or the day before. We do need a speaker. That much is clear. The question is, can Jim Jordan overcome the math problem that Kevin McCarthy struggled with? And of course, that math problem is a very slim majority for the Republicans. But we know that McCarthy also had a Matt Gaetz problem. And that, at least to me, that was a personal issue. And we talked about this before, where Gaetz felt like McCarthy didn't support him when Gaetz himself was going through all that drama with those accusations of sex trafficking that he ultimately was cleared of. The DOJ decided not to charge him. But now the question is, and this is what inquiring minds want to know, because Gaetz originally came out and said that he liked Steve Scalise. Will Matt Gaetz support Jim Jordan for Speaker of the House? Well, this is what Gaetz said last night.
I think that a lot of people chose to support Jim Jordan when they spent more time with Jim Jordan. He has an exquisite complement of leadership skills, and I think that as folks got to see what he would do to bring our conference together, it gave them greater comfort that he's the right man for the job.
What do you think it means to have somebody who has been viewed for years as a conservative outsider, founder of the Freedom Caucus, now on the cusp of winning the speakership?
Well, it's very exciting that Jim Jordan's our speaker designate. I think he's got a great chance to be elected speaker tomorrow, and I think it's going to excite a lot of Republicans throughout the country. I think it's going to help us win elections, and he's just a tremendous leader and a tremendous communicator, and I'm very excited for him.
So it looks like Gaetz is Team Jim Jordan. So now the question is, because there have been some of these moderates who have come out and said, we want Kevin McCarthy, and they're not budging. So, as you know, Jim Jordan can only lose 4 Republicans. And so, and if he doesn't get it on the first round, then the high-pressure campaign begins. We'll have to see how it all plays out. We are going to be covering this all day long right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. By the way, wait till you hear how the Democrats are ready to respond if Jim Jordan ends up being the Speaker of the House. Wait till you hear the ad they've already got ready to go. It is 6:20 on WTN. Friends, your home is a big investment, and USS, they are here to help you protect that home. Now, that's who I turn to anytime I have a problem. I call the experts in waterproofing and foundation repair and concrete leveling, to name just a few. United Structural Systems. They've been helping folks for years, since 1994. And they've got 25,100% satisfied clients, including me. Now, what can they help you with? Well, there's a lot. I mean, just go to their website at USSTN.com. Concrete lifting, foundation repair, basement and crawl space roofing, and so much more. USS has been helping Tennesseans since 1994. Call them today at 615-488-7855. We guarantee our best. Call USS at 615-488-7855. That website again, it's USSTN.com. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down, then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price, and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now that's the idea. Now if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
To Israel to try to de-escalate the situation there between IDF and Hamas. We're waiting for another ruling on the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto case, and former President Trump's defiant in the wake of a gag order. Gasoline prices headed in the right direction. These stories and more at 6:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:26 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, the Republicans are certainly ready for a Speaker of the House, and the Democrats are clearly ready if that Speaker turns out to be Jim Jordan. A vote is going to happen later on today. This is the ad that the left has already produced, and they're just hoping, wishing and hoping and praying. Well, they don't pray, but wishing and hoping that Jim Jordan is the new Speaker of the House. Listen. Johnny, need some audio if I could, please.
Right now, the leading contender to become Speaker and second in line to the presidency is a co-founder of the far-right House Freedom Caucus, election denier, MAGA extremist, who's arguably the member of Congress most involved in Donald Trump's attempted coup.
Here is Jordan in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, attending a Stop the Steal rally 2 days after Election Day. In the weeks and months after that, Jordan went on various right-wing media outlets where he attempted to sow distrust in the 2020 election and made baseless claims of election fraud.
I mean, it goes on and on and on.
About what Donald Trump had planned for January 6th than any other member of the House of Representatives.
But Jim Jordan was privy to nearly everything, if not everything, about and pertaining to January 6th. Jim Jordan can't be trusted with the Constitution.
Anyone who endorses Jordan and any member who votes for him is affirmatively voting for a coup plotter, an election denier, and a foe of American democracy.
There you go. The Democrats certainly ready for a speaker, Jim Jordan, and, we'll keep you covered with all the latest here on Nashville's Morning News and Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, when you listen to that ad, I almost feel like, you know what, 3 years ago called and they want their accusations back. You know what I mean? Does anybody really care about that stuff anymore? With all of the things that we have going on these days, with, the war against Israel and the situation going on with Hamas, Joe Biden and his arming Hamas through funding with Iran, the open borders and the dangers that lie ahead because of those open borders, to name just a few. So if that's all you've got to level against Jim Jordan, okay, now let's talk about Joe Biden. 6:29 on Nashville's Morning News. Dan Mandis here with a question for you. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company cover? Now, if you don't know, and a lot of you probably don't, you really do need to ask. Now, some insurance companies will refuse to pay full replacement cost. They'll deduct money for an older roof. This means that the insurance company will depreciate how much they pay for your roof claim. At the end of the day, that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. You've got to call my friends at King & Associates Insurance. They will pay full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 20-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they pay for it to be replaced, period. It's that kind of focus on customer service that makes King & Associates Insurance one of the absolute best insurance companies around. So if you're thinking about new insurance, talk to the people that I trust, King & Associates Insurance. Their phone number, tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out, 615-329-8121, 615-329-8121. Get your royal review at tkinginsurance.com.
.30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories this Tuesday morning. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage.
President Biden will travel to Israel Wednesday to show his support in the wake of the Hamas attack. Secretary of State Antony Blinken made the announcement in Tel Aviv.
President Biden will again make clear, as he's done unequivocally since Hamas's slaughter of more than 1,400 people, including at least 30 Americans, that Israel has the right and indeed the duty to defend its people from Hamas and other terrorists and to prevent future attacks.
A ground invasion of Gaza could happen at any time.
Major General Yair Golan tells me when Israel invades, it won't be shock and awe. It'll be methodical, building by building, floor by floor, with an eye towards taking out the maze of tunnels Hamas has built below Gaza City.
Slowly, in a very deliberate manner, we are going to beat them and kill them.
Finding them is going to be the hardest part. They'll likely be hidden behind trapdoors, behind walls, likely booby traps.
ABC's Matt Gutman in Israel.
That's Richard Cantu reporting. Right now in Tennessee, family and friends are relieved to learn all members of a traveling group from the Knoxville First Baptist Church have safely departed Israel. Here in Tennessee, the 3-judge state appeals court is deciding whether to allow the Covenant School, the church, and a group of parents to intervene in the Shooter's Manifesto and related writings case. They want that material forever banned from public view. There is no timeline for a ruling after oral arguments from both sides yesterday. And former President Trump telling supporters he will appeal the gag order imposed on him in his federal election interference case Monday. Andrew Dembert says the judge in the case says she's trying to prevent a pretrial smear campaign.
During a rally in Iowa last night, Trump saying he's willing to spend time behind bars.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
The gag order imposed by the federal judge yesterday will limit what Trump can say about the case, about potential witnesses, and about the prosecutor, Special Counsel Jack Smith.
But the judge will still allow Trump to criticize President Biden and the Justice Department, and he can still make claims the case is politically motivated. Money news, gasoline prices moving lower. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy puts that average at $3.18 per gallon. That's 36 lower than last month. Nationwide, the average gas per gallon is down 11 cents to $3.58. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
6:38, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Couple of things, Ken.
Yeah, Brother Dan Mandis.
Somebody's calling you to task.
Okay.
Taking you to task.
Okay.
Whatever it is.
All right.
They're upset with you because you are calling Audrey Hale a she.
Oh.
Well, she was a she. The super texter believes that you are using the politically correct pronoun.
Okay.
So most people, and this happens all the time, where people think that Audrey Hale was I want to make sure that I get this straight, a man who thought that he was a woman.
Yeah.
Well, in reality, Audrey Hale was a she that believed that she was a man.
Okay.
So you are correct in calling her a she because that is her biologically correct pronoun.
That is a weight off my shoulders.
I know you were. Here's the funny thing. This happens all the time. We get these kinds of text messages. And I don't know if it's just because people have this sort of reflexive reaction, but I mean, you got to pay attention to the story, folks. Ken's doing it right. Trust us. It's Ken Weaver, everybody. He's not going to make that mistake. That's number one. Number two, whatever, moving on. I am really lucky, and I consider myself lucky every single day, that the worst thing about my job, Ken and Johnny, is having to get up so early. I don't have to really deal with the public. The worst we have to deal with is like the super text line.
Yeah.
And we really love those people.
Yeah.
But did you see what happened to a poor woman who was working at a Walgreens here in town?
Okay. What happened?
So she stops a couple of girls from shoplifting. So one of the girls runs out to the car and gets a bunch of gasoline and pours it on the Walgreens employee.
Where are you seeing this?
That is on WSMV. Nashville, Tennessee. 2 women were booked into jail Monday after police say they threw gasoline on a Walgreens employee once they were caught trying to shoplift back in September.
Wow.
Tashaka Waters and Latavia Waters are both, mom must be really proud, are both charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. Can you imagine if one of them had a match? I mean, that's just...
Yeah.
That's awful. And so I think this is why.
I like how they've been released from jail.
That is incredible.
That's comforting.
Yeah, they were booked into jail early Monday and have since been released.
Just, take the gasoline away. It'll be fine.
They didn't mean it.
Nah, they were just kidding.
Hey, it wasn't their fault they were trying to commit a crime.
They're just misunderstood.
I mean, the price of gasoline these days? Come on.
Wow.
An employee stopped one of the girls and told her to leave when Latavia Waters argued with the employee. Tashaka Waters went to the car, got a gas can, and then poured gasoline on the employee, according to police. You know what? That seems like a perfectly rational reaction.
Sure.
Doesn't it?
Sure. So you're going to accuse me of committing a crime?
Mm-hmm.
Well... No, there's no denial. Instead, they go grab a gas can and try to pour gasoline on the employee just doing her job.
The duo then began to physically assault the employee.
Those poor customers. They probably had a rough life.
Both were booked into jail early Monday and have since been released. You're right.
Man, I hope they get the help that
Here's the crazy thing. Tashaka
they're probably
Waters
crying out for.
Yes, Tashaka Waters was not charged with shoplifting. So I don't know. This is one of those stories
where...
Well,
then she's really stupid.
The thing is, this is why companies say, do not bother with trying to stop these people. Because you don't know what they're capable of.
No.
How old are these girls anyway? They look, I mean, we've got their names, so they must be over 18, but it can't be by much. I mean,
no.
they look young.
They're in their 20s.
Okay.
If they're older. I mean, they're not old women.
Yeah. No,
older
they're not.
women.
They're younger women. They're also very dumb.
Yeah.
Again, both women. Thank God the Walgreens employee is okay. And she's probably sitting here thinking, you know what, this just is not worth it. This is just not worth it.
I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. That is not that's not worth stopping somebody from trying to rip off something from a Walgreens.
And you know, there was a time when I would just absolutely defend to the death. Yes, you need to stop people who are shoplifting. You can't just simply allow all of these people to get away with it. But then you see stories like this, and makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah.
You know, that's why, you know, when we had this story a while ago, I think it was a Lowe's or a Home Depot, but, you know, one of these big box hardware stores fired one of their longtime employees for trying to stop a shoplifter, and they ended up firing the poor woman. And it was like, no, this is for the safety of our customers and for the safety of our employees. And so, you know, America looked at that story, and the hardware store itself looked really bad because all this woman was trying to do was, you know, get the bad guys. And who doesn't want to get the bad guys? Well, they fired her. They ended up having to hire her back because of the, you know, public outcry. But still, I actually kind of understand why there is this zero tolerance policy for stopping people like this who are shoplifting. And then, because you just, sadly, these days, you don't know what people are capable of.
Well, and now they're out of jail.
They're out of jail.
They've been released.
Mm-hmm. And again, it sounds like they're sisters or something. They're both of their last names are Waters. So, as I said, Mama must be proud. I would love to hear what their mother has to say about her two daughters. It is 6:45 on WTN. Time to check the roads. From the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. .646 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 and WTN. As far as your weather today, partly sunny and a high of 63, and right now 50 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. People chiming in on the Super Text line, and we've got people basically sort of either agreeing with me or agreeing to disagree with me, but a lot of people saying, well, listen, unless you want our stores to begin leaving Nashville like we're seeing in all of these other Democrat-run cities, then we do need to, collectively as a community, I suppose, stop all of these shoplifters. And I do understand that, but at the same time, I mean, do you...
What, for like $12 an hour?
Okay.
Or less?
That's what I was going to say,
No,
Ken.
I don't think so.
Unless you want people to stop working, because I wouldn't work under that kind of
I know some people need a job, but you need your life.
Yep, you absolutely do.
There are other jobs out there.
By the way, I was talking about this Alicia Keys story. Alicia Keys slammed for, they say, sick ode to Hamas terror attacks on Israel after asking fans if she should start paragliding while she was wearing a jacket with the colors of the Palestinian flag. So, guys sent me a note on the Super Text line. I'm getting so many today. We must be doing good, Johnny and Ken, because I'm getting a lot of feedback today. Not all of it is good.
I was getting ready to say, I don't know if we're doing good.
You just don't ruin it for me, Ken. It's been a great show so far. Just ask me. Anyway.
Yeah.
Guy says, Dan, love ya, but you're all wrong on the Alicia Keys thing.
Yeah.
Alicia Keys was asked by fans if there's something that you could overcome that you are fearful of, what would it be? And she said paragliding.
Yeah.
While, unfortunately, wearing the colors of the Palestinian flag. You know what? She did.
That could be.
And and just letting people know that I can be educated myself.
Edumacated.
Guy says she did play Israel in 2013. So, the cynical side of me would say, well, she probably made a lot of money. However, whatever. So if you can believe Alicia Keys or not, that she was not...
Well, is the Palestinian flag the same as Hamas? Because I
don't
think there's
know.
a difference between the Palestinian people and Hamas.
Yes. And that is in the 45 seconds we have. But there is a distinction between the two. You have Hamas, then you have the Palestinian people.
Yeah.
Then the question is, because remember, the Palestinian people voted in Hamas back in 2006, 2007 to run the Gaza in Palestine. But then you have the situation where Hamas then basically took over and no more elections. So you have some people in Gaza who are pro-Hamas. You have others, I can only assume, that are anti-Hamas, and all they want to do is live. And so there's just, there is a distinction between the two, and it's a fair conversation to have. Then you look at when Hamas does strike and you look at all the people that are dancing in the streets of Gaza, then you have the fact that in the schools in Gaza, they teach anti-Semitism. I mean, I could go on, and I frankly, we all have for a long time now. So, enough already.
It just goes back to, you don't have to comment on everything. Celebrities.
Yeah.
You don't have to. I mean, I know you probably think that you have a lot of moronic fans and that you need to be an example for them. But sometimes you just make yourself look like a dumb A, if you will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a lot of celebrities here in the last week or so that have stuck their foot in their mouth, and they didn't really understand.
Exactly.
And by the way, trust me when I say, folks, I know that there's many thousands of years of history here between Israel and all of these other nations. And I'm just telling you that Israel, for thousands of years, have been on this piece of land, the size of New Jersey. And so it's not stolen land. They've been there for quite some time, as a matter of fact. 6:50 on Nashville's Morning News on WTN. Brentwood Jewelry. Now, I love Brentwood Jewelry. It is where I buy all of my jewelry these days, and I recommend them highly. Now, if you need a special gift for a special occasion, head on over to Brentwood Jewelry for great selection of earrings and necklaces and watches. Now, as you know, this is where Amy and I went to celebrate our 1-year wedding anniversary. Now, I bought her some fantastic earrings, and she got me a terrific watch. Now, if you're planning ahead for the holidays, and you should be, think about going to Brentwood Jewelry for those amazing people in your life and pick them up something incredible. Now, my friends at Brentwood Jewelry, they do focus on incredible quality, outstanding customer service, and a vast selection of everything. 7012 Church Street East, located in the heart of Brentwood, just off Franklin Road. Exceptional style, exceptional deals every day for over 50 years. BrentwoodJewelry.com.
Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage. We'll preview President Biden's coming trip there to try to de-escalate tensions. We're waiting to see what the Tennessee Court of Appeals decides on the Covenant school shooters manifesto and related writings case after arguments yesterday. Police in Murfreesboro think there could be more than one victim after an indecent exposure charge at a Target store. And former President Trump on the campaign trail told a rally last night he's ready to go to jail. Details at 7 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
6:56, Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. So not only has Iran now threatened to start bombing Israel if they continue to go after the folks there in Hamas in Gaza, but now Iran has made a brand new threat against Israel. Details straight ahead, 6:56. Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Seven o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes, and Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage.
President Biden is headed to Israel tomorrow. The White House says the intention is to show unwavering support for Israel while continuing to call for humanitarian aid to reach the civilians living in the Gaza Strip. This is National Security Spokesman John Kirby.
We have been talking about how important it is for democracies like Israel and the United States to stand up for the law of war, to respect innocent civilian life, unlike Hamas.
ABC's Justin Finch with more on possible U.S. involvement.
The top general overseeing American forces in the Middle East made an unannounced trip to Israel overnight, hours after the U.S. military told 2,000 troops to prepare for a possible deployment to provide intelligence and medical support in the Middle East. It comes amid growing concern the conflict could further involve Iran. Israel overnight said it struck more military assets belonging to Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group in Lebanon.
Here in Tennessee, Knox News says all members of a traveling group from First Baptist Church in Knoxville have safely left Israel. Some of those members already back in Tennessee. Right now in Tennessee, we're waiting to see what the Tennessee Court of Appeals decides in the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto and related writings case. The three-judge panel heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing Covenant School, the Covenant Presbyterian Church, and Covenant School parents to intervene in the case to argue against ever releasing that material. Their attorney said it could cause suicides. There's no timeline for the court to rule. And right now in Middle Tennessee, police in Murfreesboro think there could be more than one victim. Channel 4's Marissa Sulek says a Middle Tennessee State University director of football recruiting faces indecent exposure charges involving a teenage girl at the Target store on Old Fort Parkway over the weekend.
The MTSU website says Woodley was in his 6th year with athletics here, and he was in his 2nd year as director of player personnel. That's where he worked in football recruiting. Woodley is charged with indecent exposure and resisting arrest. Murfreesboro police say they were called to this Target on Old Fort Parkway on Saturday. A girl says Woodley came up to her in the store, complimented her outfit, and moved a shopping basket away from his waist. Police say once he did that, his genitalia was in plain view. Sunday is when they say officers arrested Woodley when he went back to the Target.
Now, Nick Woodley, released from the Rutherford County Adult Detention Center on a $3,000 bond. His first court hearing is November 30th. Former President Trump on the campaign trail in Iowa last night told a rally he's ready to go to jail if it comes to it after the judge in his federal election interference case imposed a gag order yesterday.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
Gag order imposed by the federal judge yesterday limits what Trump can say about the case, about potential witnesses, and about the prosecutor, special counsel Jack Smith. That's, let's see, Market Numbers Report. Market Numbers brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Checking futures ahead of the opening bell. Dow futures down 76. S&P down 13. NASDAQ down 49. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's morning news with Dan Mandis.
And go, my fellow Americans.
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
707 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Welcome on in. It is Tuesday, October 17th. Here's a headline for you. Senior Iranian commander warning of escalation against Israel if the Gaza attacks continue. Specifically, they've been talking about bombing Israel if Israel continues to bomb Gaza. Now they're talking about the Islamic Revolutionary Guard as well. So the Iranians definitely very interested, clearly, in doing what they can to protect Hamas. That story continues to unfold this morning on a couple of different fronts. Also, a really interesting moment. ABC was talking to some of the Israeli forces, and the ABC reporter asked this Israeli soldier about the risk of innocent people dying as a result of the Israelis going after Hamas in Gaza.
There are those voices there across this region and elsewhere who say the price of military action is too great, that too many civilians are now dying, too many Palestinians are already dying.
We're in a full war here.
Yep.
And the responsibility isn't on us. You should take that question straight back to Hamas. We are here because we have no other choice.
That's exactly right. Joining us on the Newsmaker Hotline, Senator Marsha Blackburn. Joining us, I'm assuming, from Washington, D.C. And Senator, President Joe Biden heading off to Israel. And I'm just curious to know what you think about the president deciding to head out and meet with Benjamin Netanyahu.
One of the things that is of concern to me, and I'm certain we'll learn more today, is that the president agreed to go only after Israel had agreed to an aid package to go into Gaza. I believe we should be cutting aid to Gaza because we know that Hamas takes that money. It does not go into food, water, shelter, utilities for Gazans. It goes into terrorism. And Israel needs the ability to defend themselves. We do not need to condition that support. And I would prefer for us to fully support Israel as they defend their people and their country.
One of the things I find interesting is, we see here across America, you've got these colleges, students and groups within these colleges that are all defending Hamas, and they're defending the Palestinians, and they're critical of Israel, and some even going so far as to say that Israel invited the attack from a week or so ago. From your vantage point, Senator, in Washington, D.C., and I know that you speak to Tennesseans across our state, I've got to ask, you're not hearing that kind of language from Tennesseans. I can't imagine you are. I think most of the folks that I've spoken with, they are 100% behind Israel.
They are behind Israel. The majority of Tennesseans are. And I think it was surprising to people when there was a pro-Gaza, pro-Palestine rally in Nashville this weekend, because people in Tennessee primarily and by a large measure support Israel and think Israel needs the ability to defend themselves. They do not want to see aid condition or conditions on Israel's ability to respond. Think of what that would, the message that would send to Americans if we were hit, or as we were hit on September 11th, and then if we were told, well, you could only respond if you did this. You could only protect your country if you agreed to do that. People would be incensed. And I think it's why many people were so curious last night as the news broke that it was a conditioned response, that they were very surprised that Joe Biden would have done that. But, Dan, Joe Biden has been wrong on every foreign policy over his career, and that is not me. That's Bob Gates that said that 10 years ago, that Joe Biden had been inaccurate on his assumptions on every major foreign policy. issue. And Jake Sullivan, who has advised him for much of his career, the advice he gets from Jake Sullivan, whether it was the 2015 Iran nuclear deal or this latest hostage exchange that gave Iran a $6 billion boost, or the advice Jake Sullivan gave Hillary Clinton as they cooked up Russiagate. He is wrong in his decision to do not serve our nation and our people and our allies well, and that is why I think he should be removed as the White House National Security Director.
Senator, there was a story that I shared with folks yesterday. The Biden administration sending millions of dollars, a total since he took office, of $730 million to an organization called the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. And this group has been described by several outlets as basically an arm of Hamas and providing cover for Hamas. And so I guess one of the questions I would ask is, you know, with this story and, of course, all the other stories of how this president has been financially really providing Iran with the ability to make money by looking the other direction and not enforcing the sanctions, in addition to this and the money for the hostages and so forth. Is there any appetite in Washington, D.C. for an investigation into the president and his funding of Israel so that they could, I should say funding of Iran, so that they could fund Hamas, and then Hamas, of course, attacks Israel? Is there any thought of an investigation?
Oh, yes, indeed. And I have a resolution that would end that funding to the UN Relief and Work Agency for Palestinian Refugees until Iran is expelled from the UN. We know that President Trump cut the funding to this agency. Joe Biden has given it $730 million. We know that this agency hires people that are affiliated with Hamas. We know that much of this money goes into Hamas's pockets, not into relief and not into humanitarian aid. And we also know that some of the Hamas affiliates that work for the agency use the facilities of the agency there in Gaza to hide weapons. So those are the things we know. That is why I have my resolution to cut this funding, and it's why I think at this point you have to say it's appropriate to cut aid to Gaza and to the Palestinians until we can figure this out. And until we can make certain that money is going into aid. And it could be that you end up working as people are fleeing. My understanding is the Rafah Gate is where people that are trying to get out of Gaza have gathered. The Israelis are going through searching cars, making certain weapons are not in there, making certain that people who are fleeing are going to be able to, that they're doing it for humanitarian reasons and they are not doing it for the purpose of terrorism. Hamas was designated a terrorist organization by the United States in 1997. And we know that Iran gives Hamas about $100 million a year for their budget. And they also supply training, weaponry, military supplies that Hamas needs to carry out their terrorist acts.
7:16 on Nashville's Morning News. More with Senator Marsha Blackburn coming up. Time to check the roads very quickly from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. .717 Nashville's Morning News. As far as your weather today, partly sunny and a high of 63, 49 degrees now at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Senator Blackburn, I've got to ask, there's a lot of conversation about funding for Israel and financial support for Israel, financial support also continuing with Ukraine. And my question is, what are your thoughts on how far do we go to continue to support both Ukraine and now, and I believe we should be financially supporting Israel and doing whatever we need to help them. Ukraine, I believe, is a little bit more up for debate, but what do you say about that?
Yes, and what we know is Israel has asked us for the supplies that they need to defend themselves. They have not asked for our troops, and they have always fought their own wars. But Dan, I say if it shoots, sails, flies, or spies, and Israel needs it, then the U.S. should get it to them. And these funding measures should be considered separately. Ukraine, we do not want Vladimir Putin to win. We already have about $75 billion in the pipeline. There are some of us from Senate conservatives that keep saying, look, we want to know what the timeline for delivery is. We want to know what has made it to the battlefront. We want to know what is going into humanitarian aid. And this administration has not been able to answer those questions. So we've said we don't think we should put any more money in the pipeline until these questions can be answered, because we do not want Vladimir Putin to win and chalk up a win. A win for him is a win for the other members of the new axis of evil, which, of course, we know is Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. And now we have Iran involved in Israel. You're looking at the threats on Taiwan that are coming from China. So these are issues we're going to continue to watch carefully. They should each be considered separately. And Dan, I will add to that, the border actually plays into this. We have seen such an uptick in foreign nationals and in individuals that are coming from Iran and from Pakistan and Russia. This month already, they've apprehended 30 Iranians at the southern border. They've apprehended 35 Pakistanis, over 100 Russians, and over 2,000 Chinese. And they are coming into this country. And while all of these people that are coming, they may not all be here to carry out some form of act of destruction, but many of them may be or could be. And when you have 246 individuals that have been on the terrorist watch list and thousands who are persons of interest from countries, it is imperative that we secure this southern border now and stop this free flow into our country from the southern border.
Senator Marsha Blackburn, thank you very much, as always. And there's so much, and we could go on for an hour with the senator, but time doesn't permit us to. But thank you. We'll have you on again real soon. And again, there is a lot to continue to talk about. One of the things that I'm really interested in seeing is how Jim Jordan is going to fare later on today. He has been, as we like to say, smiling and dialing. He's been making all kinds of phone calls, especially to the moderates in the House of Representatives. At some point today, I'm not sure what time that vote is today, but at some point today, the House will be voting on Jim Jordan for Speaker. The question is, does he have the votes? So we'll have to wait and see what happens. It is 7:21. And stay tuned here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Fall is here, and that means the cold and flu season is just around the corner. Get your home zero-res healthy by cleaning the largest filter in your home. That is, of course, your carpet. With an almost 10-year-old in the house, which is what we have in my house, this is really important. Now, those germs are trapped in your carpet and they can impact your family's health. You can protect them by getting your carpet cleaned with Zero Res. Now, this is the carpet cleaning company that I trust, and clearly, I'm not the only one. They've got 3,600 Google reviews and 700 Facebook reviews as well. Beth in Nashville says that their tech was polite, on time, and hardworking as well. Zero Res went the extra mile, and these days, that is rare, Beth says, and thousands of others have great things to say about Zero Res as well, including yours truly. Now, right now, they've got a great deal going on. 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $119, plus you get a free hallway. Again, 3 rooms of carpets cleaned for only $119, plus a free hallway, and you get 20% off of air duct cleaning, too. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. By the way, restrictions apply. 615-535-9376. 615-535-9376. That website, ZeroResNashville.com. Spell it backwards or forwards. It is the right way to clean.
Hi, I'm Paul Winkler. We know that diversification is an important part of the investing process, but how do you reduce risk of a portfolio through diversification? Well, you use correlations. Now think of bathing suit sales and suntan oil sales. They tend to move together, right? Think of bathing suit sales versus winter coat sales. More dissimilar movement, and that's the idea. But why is diversification so important? Well, think about it this way. Everybody would like to have this happen with their investments. They just go straight up. But what we know is this is really what tends to happen. Markets may go way up and then down, or down then way up. Now let's say if we isolate parts of that curve right there, and the first curve right there, and the second curve right there. If you're putting money away for retirement, every time you put money in, if this is what's going on, you're buying more shares. Then just before you retire, the market goes up, you're really happy. If, on the other hand, you keep paying a higher and higher price and then the market goes down, you're really sad. And we can't choose what's going to happen with the market next. But what we can do is what we know through academic research, and there are Nobel Prizes awarded for this, is we can look for things that tend to move in dissimilar fashion. And what happens when we do that, we can reduce the volatility of the portfolio, hence bringing those curves in. Now that's the idea. Now if you want to learn more about our approach to investing and financial planning, go to paulwinkler.com and set up a free 15-minute phone call. Or you can call 615-851-1950.
Hey, it's Dan Mandis with a question for you, my friends. If your roof was destroyed in a storm, how much of that replacement cost would your insurance company actually cover? Now, if you don't know, you really do need to ask, because some insurance companies, they refuse to pay full replacement cost. They'll deduct money for an older roof. Now, that means that the insurance company is depreciating how much they're going to pay for your roof claim. Now, that could leave you on the hook for thousands of dollars. Now, my friends at King & Associates Insurance, they're going to pay the full replacement cost. So whether you have to replace a 20-year-old roof or a 2-year-old roof, they're going to pay for it to be replaced, period. Now, it's that kind of customer focus that King & Insurance is best known for. They are the best insurance company around. So call them today, 615-329-8121 for King & Associates Insurance, and get your royal review. 615-329-8121, tkinginsurance.com.
President Biden travels to Israel tomorrow, but also Jordan. Covenant school shooter writings case update here in Nashville. Former President Trump says he's ready to go to jail if he has to. Gasoline prices going in the right direction. These stories and more at 7:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Thank you, Ken. 727 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. The senator had mentioned wanting to continue funding for Ukraine. Clearly not a popular answer amongst the super texters. Let's just say that that is something that a lot of folks here in Middle Tennessee do not want to see continued, is the funding for Ukraine. I got to tell you, we have given Ukraine so many millions of dollars, and it just feels like it's never going to end. And I think that there is an exhaustion. And I think somebody even said on the super text line, it is exhausting. Every single week, it seems like we're giving more and more and more money to Ukraine. One of the things that Jim Jordan is going to have to grapple with if he ends up becoming the Speaker of the House, you have some people that want to tie funding for Israel and funding for Ukraine, want to tie them together, which is absolute BS because, and if Jim Jordan agrees to that, then he's already, yes, okay, thank you, Terry B., billions of dollars that we've given to Ukraine. If Jim Jordan, as the Speaker of the House, agrees to tie those two together, then I'm just going to tell you, he's already lost me on day one. There is an update to that story. I'm going to tell you about that coming up after the news right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Cove generators. Winter is on the way, and with it, possible snow, ice, and power outages as well. I got a question for you. 3 words. Are you ready? Dan Mandis here for Cove Generators. They are experts in keeping your power on and your family safe. Now, be prepared this winter with a Generac home standby generator, the best generators around to keep your heat on, even if your power goes out. Now, Cove Generators are your premier Generac home standby generator dealer. Call them today and be prepared for winter, whatever it's going to bring. At Cove Generators, all they do is generators, so they know what they're doing, and they do it at a fair price and great customer service. Now, if you've already got a generator, call them to perform maintenance on your Generac automatic standby generator or any brand generator that you may own. Find them online. It's covegenerators.com, and never lose power again. Call them today at 931-559-3311. 931-559-3311. Terms and conditions may apply. Call for details. Tell them Dan Mandis told you to reach out. covegenerators.com.
$7:30 on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. We've got the full forecast, another traffic update in 5 minutes, continuing coverage, Israel-Hamas war. National Security Advisor to the White House, John Kirby, says President Biden arrives in the region tomorrow.
It's really on the humanitarian front, and he'll be hitting that not only hard while he's in Israel, but when he goes to Amman, Jordan, and speaks to President Sisi of Egypt, President Abbas of the Palestinian Authority, and, of course, King Abdullah, all focused on making sure that humanitarian assistance can flow in.
Here in Tennessee, family and friends are relieved to learn all members of a traveling group from Knoxville First Baptist Church are safely out of Israel. Here in Tennessee, we're waiting for the state appeals court ruling on the Covenant school shooters manifesto and related writings case. The 3 judges heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing the school, the church, and some parents of the school to intervene to try to block the public release of that material forever. And no timeline was given for when the panel will rule. Later today in our nation's capital, the House expected to vote on Republican Jim Jordan's nomination to be Speaker. And former President Trump is telling supporters he will appeal that gag order imposed on him in his federal election interference case Monday. A federal judge saying she is trying to prevent a pretrial smear campaign. Well, on the campaign trail in Iowa, here's what the former president said.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
So the gag order would limit what Trump can say about the case, about potential witnesses, and about the prosecutor, Special Counsel Jack Smith. But Trump can still criticize President Biden and the Justice Department and Trump can still make claims that the case is politically motivated. Money news. Gasoline prices moving lower. Right now in Middle Tennessee, Gas Buddy puts that average at $3.18 per gallon. That's 36 lower than last month. Nationwide, the average gallon of gas is down 11 cents to $3.58. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 732, Nashville's Morning News. Get the speed you need at a great price with Xfinity Internet. Now, you know what's going on in my house. With all three of us working on our computers, doing homework or radio shows or show prep, we depend on Xfinity Internet in my house, and you can too. Now, you can get up to 5 times faster upload speeds for smoother connections on the largest gig speed network, only from my friends at Xfinity. And Xfinity's gig speed internet is available to 99% of their footprint. In other words, it is fast, it is reliable, and it's pretty much everywhere. Now, you can enjoy all your favorite apps all in one place with a Flex 4K streaming box. And you can stay connected on the go with over 20 million secure Xfinity Wi-Fi hotspots nationwide. Now, those two words really do say it all: fast and reliable. So get in touch with Xfinity and stay connected. To get started, call 1-800-XFINITY. That's 1-800-XFINITY. Visit Xfinity.com or drop into an Xfinity store today for more details. Actual speeds vary and are not guaranteed based on Xfinity's fastest available download speeds. Not available in all areas. Performance may be limited by customer's device configuration.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
$7:36 on Nashville's Morning News. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate and sell your home hassle-free. Dan Mandis here. Did you know that Mark Spain Real Estate has been named one of the top real estate companies in the country? The Wall Street Journal and Real Trends both ranked Mark Spain Real Estate as, yes, the #1 real estate team in America for now the 5th year in a row, having sold more homes than any other real estate team. As a matter of fact, these folks have been helping homeowners for years. They've got over 44,000 satisfied clients that have trusted them to sell their homes when starting their next phase in life. Mark Spain Real Estate sells over 39 homes per day. As the most experienced real estate team in the country, they will sell your home stress-free with the strongest cash offer in the industry. It's Mark Spain Real Estate. You can trust them to sell your home quickly and for maximum profit with their guaranteed offer. So call them today at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD for Mark Spain Real Estate and get your guaranteed offer on your home today. There's no obligation. That's markspain.com and start packing. .38 Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Should Ukraine funding and Israel funding be linked? The answer to that question is no. Not only no, but hell no. Well, Axios is now reporting that the guy who very well could be holding the gavel in the House of Representatives, Jim Jordan, who is a guy that I like, as you know, well, he has apparently been giving the impression that he will allow those two to be linked. 4 House Republicans walking away from conversations with House GOP Speaker nominee Jim Jordan under the impression that he will allow a floor vote on linking Ukraine funding with Israel funding if he wins the gavel, according to, again, Axios. Now, I've got to ask the question, why? Because here's the thing. If the American people want Ukraine to continue to get their money, well, then they'll continue to get their money. But if the American people, and there's polling out there that shows that the American people are not for continuing to give Ukraine money. And so here's the thing. Israel, far, far, far more people. And I know there's some of you that don't believe that Israel should get any money, and that's all fine, well, and good. But linking them together, linking the money for Israel and Ukraine together, that is the same kind of Washington, D.C. bullcrap that we've been watching for decades now. And it's that kind of bullcrap that now has us $33 trillion in debt. So that, and a guy who openly advocates for Jim Jordan, if he decides to play that little parlor trick of tying these two together and he's okay with that, well, then that's the deal that he has clearly made with the moderates. Because the more conservative wing of the Republican Party in the House of Representatives, they absolutely would want those two things separated. Because here's the deal. If Ukraine needs the money, well, then that need has got to stand on its own, as opposed to linking it to Israel, where Israel, at least to me, they will need whatever financial support they need. And I am far more willing to give Israel the money than Ukraine. Ukraine, they have received billions and billions of dollars. And they still, by the way, haven't gotten the job done. I think for Israel, I mean, they're going to be able to, in my opinion, they're going to be able to make quick work of Hamas. And the sooner that Israel can make quick work out of Hamas, the sooner things can get back to whatever normal is in Gaza. Meantime, you've got Iran that is threatening Israel this morning. If you've missed the stories that we've been covering for you here on Nashville's Morning News, you have Israel saying that, we know that they're going to, any moment now, any hour, they're going to be going into Gaza to take out the Hamas terrorists. Iran is out there saying that they may take preemptive measures against Israel. And so that's been part of the news cycle this morning. So if Jim Jordan, just getting back to that real quick, then I'm going to move on. But if Jim Jordan ultimately does this, allows these two to be tied together, then it is clear that he has made deals with the moderates to get those votes so that he can get the gavel. And that would be incredibly disappointing, especially for a guy like me who has been such a big fan of Jim Jordan for so long. But then here's the thing. I forget who it was that said this. It was somebody I respect, although I can't remember who it is. But they said, don't ever put your faith in politicians. Don't ever put your faith in them because they will let you down every single time. I wonder if there's been a politician. Has there ever been a politician? I'm curious about this. And then I promise I'm going to move on. Has there ever been a politician that you supported that actually never let you down? That voted the way that you wanted that politician to vote and said just the right thing that you wanted that politician to say? Has there ever been a politician that has not let you down, or have you always been let down by a politician? Because as I said, people who I respect have said, although for whatever reason, maybe it's because I'm tired, I can't remember who the hell it was, but don't ever put your faith or trust in a politician because they will let you down every single time. Is that true? I'd be willing to bet the majority of you are going to say, heck yes. You Trump, here's a question I would ask. Trump supporters, has there ever been a time that Donald Trump has let you down? And I'm not trying to be snarky, and I'm certainly not trying to be anti-Trump. You know that I'm a free agent. I will absolutely vote for Donald Trump if he is the one that I want to vote for when the time comes. I will vote for him if he is the candidate in the general election, but I'm a free agent in the primary. But that's my question. So number one, has there ever been a politician that has not let you down? And number two, if you're a Donald Trump supporter, has he ever let you down? I'm curious. 7:45, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. $7:45 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather goes today, partly sunny and a high of 63. Right now, 49 degrees at Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Well, people are certainly responding to that question. 2408, Trump has never let me down intentionally. Todd says Trump routinely lets us down by running his mouth. I mean, it goes on and on. They talk about, Lena says when Trump shut the country down, I was disappointed. Yes, I was disappointed as well. Vaccine mandates is something that, even though I never trusted Joe Biden, that will go down, in my mind, Joe Biden with those vaccine mandates, that will go down as one of many things that I found so incredibly offensive regarding the Biden administration. Speaking of Joe Biden, Johnny, need some audio if I could. He was asked this by Scott Pelley.
Are you sure that you want to run again?
Yes, because I'm sure. Look, when I ran, I said the world's at an inflection point. The world's changing, but we have an opportunity to make it. So imagine if we were able to succeed in getting the Middle East put in place where we have normalization of relations. I think we can do that. Imagine what happens if we, in fact, unite all of Europe and Putin is finally put down where he cannot cause the kind of trouble he's been causing. We have enormous opportunities.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that is Joe Biden. And you'll notice, and I've been pointing this out, that in that whole tired, droning on answer, he never once mentioned the American people. And I think it's obvious because well, I don't know if Joe Biden knows much of anything these days, but he probably knows that the American people, by and large, has disapproved pretty much everything that he's done. You know, here's the other question I'm going to ask, because now I'm just having fun with the super texters because I love when you folks respond. What is your most infuriating Joe Biden screw up? I think that's a good question. Don't you think, Johnny and Ken? What is the most infuriating Joe Biden screw up? Because you've got, funding Iran so that Iran could fund Hamas. You've got and I realize that a lot of these things are connected. You've got the wide open borders.
Yeah, completely erasing what President Trump had set in motion.
I mean, when you look at the southern border, you're absolutely right, Ken. I just mentioned one of mine is the vaccine mandates. And the reason why I am so incredibly infuriated with the vaccine mandates is because people were forced to put chemicals into their body that they didn't want to put into their body so that they could feed their families and keep a roof over their heads.
Yep.
I mean, I get upset just thinking about it because I know people who lost their jobs, they lost their careers because they stood firm and decided not to get the vaccine, and they lost everything. And so when Biden did that, and he fired members of our military, and at the same time not requiring illegal aliens to come when they're coming across our southern border, they didn't have to get a vaccine. So, I mean, that's, at least to me, one of the most abhorrent things that Joe Biden did. And because that is something that you were forced to stick into your arm, and there's no turning back from that. Now, just so you know where I stand on this, I got vaccinated because I did my research and I decided that I wanted to get a vaccine. So that's where I stand. But you have people that I firmly believe that it was their right to make their own medical decisions. And for Joe Biden to basically order the career assassination of millions of Americans if they didn't do what he said that they needed to do, I think that was abhorrent. And so, but I'm curious, what is your favorite? And there's no way that I think the super text line, Ken and Johnny, is going to actually seize up. I mean, that's how quickly they're coming in.
Might break the internet.
Might break the internet, or at least the super text line. Anyway, 7:50 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I want to tell you about my friends at Lake Living TN. If you have always wanted to live by the lake, please listen to the next 60 seconds. Dan Mandis here for Lake Living TN. On Saturday, October 28th, you've got a great opportunity to pick up a lakeside property at a fraction of the cost. Now, these prices are incredible, but limited, so you've got to call them now and reserve your own private tour. But just to give you an example of as far as these prices go, 2-acre wooded lots beginning at just $64,000. Lake Village packages are starting at just $349,000. The last remaining waterfront lots are $50,000 off. Now, this highly anticipated community is just 20 minutes outside of Knoxville and features 10 miles of walking trails, over 3 miles of shoreline, pickleball courts, and so much more. Check them out online at lakelivingtn.com. That's lakelivingtn.com. Or better yet, call them. That phone number is 865-408-9992. And remember the date for those tours, Saturday, October 28th. Call him, tell him Dan Mandis told you to reach out and invest in something real. 865-408-9992, lakelivingtn.com. Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Nashville's Morning News on WTN. I'm here at the Nashville Rescue Mission doing the interviews that I look forward to doing every single year. These are incredible stories of people who have had amazing recoveries. Thanks to this amazing facility, they are able to get clean and lead a more productive life. The date of our annual radiothon is going to be Monday, November 20th. Listen in and please donate. You can get more information at 99.7 WTN, including a link to the website for Nashville's Rescue Mission.
Israeli bombs keep falling. President Biden arrives in the region tomorrow to try to de-escalate tension and free up the flow of humanitarian assistance. Here in Nashville, we have an update on the Covenant school shooters writings case. A college football recruiter is accused of showing himself to a teenage girl in a busy shopping center. And former President Trump says he's ready to go to jail if necessary. Those stories and more at 8 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
All right, so Johnny, real quickly, what is your favorite or least favorite, most infuriating, I guess I should say, Biden screw-up?
The Afghanistan withdrawal.
Yep. I think that is something that a lot of people are saying. When I ask for, what is your most infuriating Joe Biden screw-up, a lot of people said Hunter, by the way. Very good. Also, Biden's biggest screw-up is waking up every day. Okay.
What's wrong with 10:30, 11 o'clock?
That's right. Naps are good.
It's exactly right.
I like to take naps.
Got to wake up to take a nap.
Yeah,
Listen, I felt that way a time or two.
I've got to wake up at 10, take my nap at 11.
Is that what they keep telling you, Mr. President?
Yeah, that's what they tell me.
The Afghanistan blunder, 1488. The Afghanistan pullout, probably the biggest blunder ever. And that's true.
That was bad.
Kevin says, and one of my favorite guys here, Kevin Clay says, Dan, you call them screw-ups. I call them by design. Well, that is certainly, when we talk about the border, because I do believe that they're doing that on purpose. Kevin is absolutely right when he talks about the border being left open on person. They're importing a new voting block. That is obvious to everyone who sees it. So there's just, Andrea says, you can't pick one thing when everything he does is a screw up. Biden, that is. Joe Biden.
I mean, that's the thing. All I see from his supporters is constant complaining about former President Trump.
Yes.
I never see any Biden supporter just praising what this administration has done.
No.
Yeah, the only thing they say, he loves his son.
Yeah, and he doesn't mean tweet.
The only thing he's guilty of is unconditionally loving his son.
Yeah, that's all he's guilty of.
It's maddening, I tell you. It's maddening. Anyway, all right, 7:58 Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Eight o'clock on the dot this Tuesday morning. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. And right now, Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage.
Israel continuing to bomb Gaza, including areas of southern Gaza, where it had told Palestinians to flee ahead of an expected invasion. Meantime, mediators are struggling to break a deadlock over delivering aid to millions inside Gaza. Here's ABC's Rhiannon Alley.
Egypt has said the crossing is not officially closed, but was made inoperable due to Israeli airstrikes.
Everything is getting worse.
People in Gaza have been pleading for water, food, and fuel after all routes out of the territory were closed ahead of a looming ground invasion by Israeli troops. Hospitals are on the verge of losing electricity, threatening the lives of thousands of patients.
President Biden plans to visit Israel this week. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby telling Good Morning America the reason behind the trip
is making sure he gets an update from our Israeli counterparts about their plans, their intentions, how things are going on the ground, and make sure that he conveys a strong message of continued support.
Now here in Tennessee, Knox News says all members of a traveling group from First Baptist Church in Knoxville have safely departed Israel. Also in Tennessee, we're waiting to see what the Court of Appeals decides in the Covenant School Shooters Manifesto and related writings case. The three-judge panel heard arguments yesterday for and against allowing Covenant School, the Covenant Presbyterian Church, and some Covenant School parents to intervene to argue against ever releasing that material. Their attorney said it would lead to suicides if that information ever does get out to the public. No timeline was given for when the court might decide. Right now in Middle Tennessee, police in Murfreesboro think there could be more than one victim. Channel 4's Marissa Sulek says a Middle Tennessee State University director of football recruiting, Nick Woodley, faces indecent exposure charges involving a teenage girl at the Target store on Old Fort Parkway over the weekend.
The MTSU website says Woodley was in his 6th year with athletics here, and he was in his 2nd year as director of player personnel. That's where he worked in football recruiting. Woodley is charged with indecent exposure and resisting arrest. Murfreesboro police say they were called to this Target on Old Fort Parkway on Saturday. A girl says Woodley came up to her in the store, complimented her outfit, and moved a shopping basket away from his waist. Police say once he did that, his genitalia was in plain view. Sunday is when they say officers arrested Woodley when he went back to the Target.
So Woodley was released from jail on a $3,000 bond. His first court hearing is November 30th. Former President Trump on the campaign trail in Iowa last night told the rally he's going to go to jail if it comes to it after the judge in his federal election interference case imposed a gag order yesterday.
What they don't understand is that I am willing to go to jail if that's what it takes for our country to win and become a democracy again.
The gag order limits what Trump can say about the case, about potential witnesses, and about the prosecutor, Special Counsel Jack Smith, but not what the former president can say about President Biden and the Justice Department, and whether or not he thinks it is a political witch hunt. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management, online at beaconcm.com. Checking futures before the opening bell, they are down. Dow futures off 86, S&P off 23, NASDAQ down 115. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Nashville's morning news with Dan Mandis.
And so, my fellow Americans,
We talk news. Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:07. Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you very much for joining us, along with Johnny B and Ken Weaver. It is Tuesday, October 17th. Hope you're making a great one. We've had so many different news stories today. I love the discussion regarding a ban of Gaza refugees. Now, we were talking earlier, you've got all of these nations, because, you know, everybody knows what's going on in Israel and Gaza and so forth. I don't need to reset every time. But what should we do about all of these Gaza refugees? Now, Egypt and Jordan, all of these Arab nations say that they don't want these Gaza refugees. You know, and it's the same reason why we don't want these Gaza refugees. At least, clearly, I think Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis and most conservatives understand that you really can't, number one, you can't vet these folks. And number two, we all know what happens in Gaza. Like it or not, there's a lot of anti-Semitism that is happening in Gaza. It is a part of the fabric. It is part of the DNA of that part of the world. And we don't need to import that kind of anti-Semitism. You know what's really sad is, and I don't know if you folks have noticed this, but there are now examples of anti-Semitism that have begun to, sprout, take root here in America. And by the way, I know that there's already a great deal of anti-Semitism here in America, but, you have some of these stories where, you have people who are, clearly Jewish, and they're being either attacked, their cars are being vandalized. I saw one story, I can't remember where it was, but a woman came home to find a Star of David painted on her door. So we're seeing this, and I knew this was going to happen. I knew that we were going to begin to see this kind of anti-Semitism begin to take root here in America. And I think part of what's going on is we have, all of these, pro-Palestinian, pro-Palestine, pro-Hamas rallies going on across the country. We talked about one yesterday in Los Angeles. And so when the American people are so incredibly appalled at that, then, that only feeds their anti-Semitism back. And so that's part of what's going on in America today. There is that whole ugly situation where the 6-year-old in Chicago, and I know that you, perhaps you know about this story, maybe you don't, but terrible story about a 6-year-old who was from Palestine. And I think they were from Gaza, I should say. And he and the mother moved here to the United States, and they lived in Chicago. And they were renting a part of a home from a 71-year-old man. And when the Day of Jihad was supposed to happen, remember last Friday the 13th, it was supposed to be the Day of Jihad? Well, something happened to that 71-year-old man. And they say that he was, watching and listening to coverage of the Day of Jihad on that day. And of course, that nothing really happened here in America, at least on that Day of Jihad. You saw some rallies for Gaza and all that kind of stuff. But we didn't really see a lot of violence. I think in France, there was a teacher that was sadly stabbed and killed. But nothing happened on Friday, the Day of Jihad. But on Saturday, this 71-year-old guy, I'm not entirely sure why, but something in him just snapped. And he stabbed that little 6-year-old kid from Gaza. And he killed him. He stabbed him like 26 times. But what's stunning to me is you have some of these folks that are, part of this, pro-Palestine movement, and they're actually blaming the media and politicians for what happened to this 6-year-old kid. And that's what I don't really understand their line of thinking, because they have nothing to say about the fact that it was Hamas and the leader of Hamas that called for the day of jihad. They have nothing to say about Hamas attacking Israel. That's not really shocking for, these various pro-Palestine groups. But to blame the media for spreading, what they called anti-Palestine rhetoric, I think is absolutely insane. Because you know who's spreading the anti-Palestine rhetoric? Hamas. Because they're the one that's calling for a day of jihad. And so the media has to cover it. We have to let the American people know what's going on. And this guy just snapped. But if it was the media, and if it was, all of this anti-Palestine, anti-Hamas sentiment that drove this guy to kill this little kid, well, then we would have seen that more widespread all across the country. It was only this one 71-year-old man in Chicago who on Friday, nothing happened for the day of jihad. He was afraid. His wife says that they were afraid that something was going to happen on Saturday. And he lost it. He freaked out and he went after the kid. He killed the kid. The mother was also stabbed and she is hospitalized. But I'll never really understand the line of thinking when they automatically just say, well, it's the media. They're spreading hate. No, actually, that's not what is happening. The media is just reporting on the story, where the leader of this terrorist organization who just killed well over 1,000 people in one weekend is calling for a national day of, worldwide, actually, a day of jihad. And it's sad that this kid got killed. And one of the things that I said earlier this morning is, and he was, this little boy was from I don't know exactly where, but he was from that part of the world. I think he was from Gaza. And one of the cutest pictures that they have of this kid on the internet, as the story is being reported, is he's holding an American flag. They moved here to escape what was going on in their home country. They're in Gaza. So they fled that part of the world to come here. They loved America. And this 71-year-old guy just loses it and something flips and he did what he did. But to sit here and blame the media for covering a legit news story is just ridiculous. But that's what these organizations do. Instead of looking in the mirror, they look at everyone else. And it is incredibly sad. 8:15, time to check the roads from the Paul Winkler Investment WTN Traffic Center. Thank you very much. 8:15 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7. As far as your weather today, partly sunny and a high of 83. Right now, 51 degrees at Super Talk 99.7. WTN, appreciate you listening to Nashville's Morning News. It is interesting. All of this talk about folks coming into our country, refugees, all this talk of refugees. And it, of course, what's going to happen, right? What's going to happen, because both Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis have now come out and they have said that we don't want any refugees. You know what's coming, right? Going to be called racist. Because that's always what they ultimately do. They always just play the race card, as opposed to, common sense thinking where that the people that want to come into this country from Gaza, we can't vet them, but we know what they teach. By and large, we know what they teach in Gaza. And that is well documented. And we simply don't need that kind of, any more of that kind of, what's the right word to say, culture in our country. we do have clearly more than enough anti-Semitism and hatred of Jews to go around. By the way, talking about that horrific stabbing in Chicago, a Brussels terror suspect was killed at a local cafe. This guy was, and this is the absurdity of this story and this kind of culture, where this guy, he was an ISIS fanatic, and I can't pronounce his name, and it doesn't matter. I'm sure you can figure out his name is a Middle Eastern kind of a name, and he kills 2 innocent soccer fans, just kills them. And the question is, why did he do it? Well, he did it because he was doing it in retaliation for this 6-year-old who was tragically killed by the 71-year-old landlord. Dude's in Brussels. And what did these 2 football fans have anything to do with what happened to this 6-year-old kid? Nothing. They had nothing to do with what happened to that little kid. In other words, you don't take innocent lives because an innocent life was taken halfway across the world in Chicago. But you see, that's the culture of death that these folks adhere to. And so the answer to an innocent person being taken, the 6-year-old, is not 2 more innocent lives being taken halfway across the world. Those 2 football fans had absolutely nothing to do with the death of this 6-year-old. Just a terrible, terrible situation all the way around. And I know, because I spoke about this earlier on Red Eye Radio, people, maybe 1 or 2, said, well, then why do you then say it's okay for Israel to go into Gaza? Because there's going to be a lot of Palestinians that are there in Gaza that are going to be killed. They're innocent, aren't they, Dan? Well, I mean, I suppose obviously they're not all members of Hamas, but that's Hamas doing it and not Israel. You can blame Israel all you want, but Israel has to do what Israel has to do. And it's Hamas that has been not allowing those folks to be able to escape Gaza. And by the way, as we've been reporting, Egypt isn't real thrilled to have these folks either. So that is, of course, part of the conversation. Joe Biden is on his way now to Israel in a show of support. He and Benjamin Netanyahu, they will no doubt be having a joint press conference, and we'll see how that goes. Again, it was either last night or the night before, but I was hosting on Red Eye Radio, and it's heard in Washington, D.C. on a station I'm familiar with, WMAL, and I'm on there all the time as a fill-in host. And I made an open request for the White House press corps, anyone who may be listening there from the White House press corps, who may be perhaps following Joe Biden to Israel, just, raise up, and I know I've said this before, but raise up your hand and ask the question of, Benjamin Netanyahu, does Joe Biden owe you an apology for funding Iran, who then turned around and funded Hamas, who killed over 1,000 of your citizens? Ask that question. Or ask Joe Biden. Joe Biden, President Biden, do you owe Benjamin Netanyahu and the people of Israel an apology for funding Iran, who then funded Hamas, who killed well over 1,000 of these innocent Israelis? I don't think anybody will do it, but that certainly is worth a question and a conversation. 8:20 on Nashville's Morning News on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Want to tell you about my friends at Loan Pronto. What if you could be credit card debt-free in 10 days and save as much as $1,000 a month? Well, Loan Pronto's all-new Express Equity Credit line is just what you need. You don't have to do a full home refi. You can simply tap a small portion of the equity you have and enjoy a super low monthly payment. And with Loan Pronto's Express Equity Credit line, you can close in 7 to 10 days. And by the way, A $50,000 loan is only going to cost you about $400 a month. So call them today, Loan Pronto, and ask about their amazing VA loan program as well. 615-499-5780, 615-499-5780, loanpronto.com, equal housing lender, NMLS 166-1781, subject to lender approval.
For many of us, generators are becoming a must-have household appliance. From unpredictable weather to surprise outages, it's better to be safe than sorry. Generator Supercenter of Nashville offers fast and easy installations with 24/7 service and monitoring to all brands of generators and expert repairs done right. Our mission is to make owning a backup generator simple and easy. Visit your local store today or check us out online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
Hey everybody, Dan Mandis with Nashville's Morning News on WTN. I'm here at the Nashville Rescue Mission doing the interviews that I look forward to doing every single year. These are incredible stories of people who have had amazing recoveries. Thanks to this amazing facility, they are able to get clean and lead a more productive life. The date of our annual radiothon is going to be Monday, November 20th. Listen in and please donate. You can get more information at 99.7 WTN, including a link to the website for Nashville's Rescue Mission.
We'll preview President Biden's trip to Israel. Also, some votes today in the Nashville Metro Council. These stories and more at 8:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
8:27 Nashville's morning news on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. I think, gentlemen, I am ready for the Gang of Four Amigos. I think I'm ready for that. It's been a long day.
You want to do it right now? I mean, let's just do it right now.
Sure. Well, we can't. Well, I've only got like 90 seconds.
Oh.
And we got to wait for Brother Chris. Has he shown up yet, by the way?
Brother Chris Hand is in the building, and he is feverishly putting together his audio.
Okay, feverishly. That's what we like to hear is, you know, I'm a slave driver here at WTN.
Yes, you are.
I've got an audio bite mandatory like threshold that each host needs to hit every single day.
Right.
And plus, you have publicity pictures.
I have publicity photos of Jay Harper, which, by the way, we're going to have more printed, and we're just going to go ahead and disperse them throughout the building.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's also what we're going to do.
Yeah, let's do that.
By the way, very quickly, Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini is warning now that the news just keeps on coming. It's just I'm at the point now with this whole thing. I'm reading headlines because it keeps updating so fast. Iran's Ayatollah Khomeini warns no one will be able to stop Muslims or resistance forces if Israel keeps bombing Gaza. Days after hundreds of thousands rallied to ex-Hamas's chief's call for the day of jihad. So it's a pleasant day today, isn't it?
Boy, it always is, especially when the Ayatollah speaks.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's always wonderful. Heartwarming.
It's always warm and fuzzy, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
8:29 Nashville's Morning News. When you are looking for a personal injury attorney, it can be stressful at an already stressful time, which is why I endorse my buddy John Griffith and all the legal eagles at Griffith Law. Now, you know, John Griffith was honored as the Outstanding Trial Lawyer of the Year here in the state of Tennessee a few years back. It's one of many reasons why I endorse Griffith Law. John's not afraid to go to trial if it means a better outcome for you. Now, John literally wrote the book on how to handle these types of cases and help clients get what they deserve. That book that he wrote is called The 10 Worst Mistakes You Can Make with Your Tennessee Injury Case. He does offer that for free on his website. Listen, friends, you may not need a personal injury attorney now. You may not need one tomorrow, but you may need one someday. And if your someday actually happens, remember the guy that I endorse, John Griffith. 615-807-7900. 615-807-7900 for Griffith Law. 615-807-7900. The website, griffithinjurylaw.com.
8:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast and traffic in 5 minutes. Israel-Hamas war continuing coverage. National Security Advisor John Kirby says President Biden leaves today for one-on-one meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel tomorrow.
We have been talking about how important it is for democracies like Israel and the United States to stand up for the law of war, to respect innocent civilian life, unlike Hamas.
Biden also goes to Amman, Jordan, to appeal for humanitarian needs in Gaza. Metro Council meets later today in Nashville, votes on a resolution to accept a state grant money to put an SRO in every school. But right now, Metro Police says it doesn't have enough staffing to do that in all elementary schools. And Metro Council holds the first reading on a license plate reader camera ordinance. The police department's been using these readers during a 6-month pilot program. They claim it has helped recover dozens of stolen cars and make hundreds of arrests. Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. Online at beaconcm.com. Here's Jim Ryan.
Yesterday's investor optimism has given way to caution. Before the opening bell on Wall Street, the Dow was set to start the day with a 68-point loss. The S&P was poised to give up 0.25% to start the session. The Nasdaq 0.4%. On Monday, the Dow Jones added 314 points, just under 1%, and finished the session 15 points below 34,000. The S&P and the Nasdaq Composite each picked up more than 1%. Over 4 weeks into the auto workers' strike. Ford Executive Chairman Bill Ford is calling on the UAW to end what he calls an acrimonious round of talks. The union head, Sean Fain, has responded by saying that strike could be expanded at any time. Walmart says it's pretty much ready for the holidays and likely will not have to go on a hiring spree. Retail experts say that may be another sign that merchants are expecting a slower holiday shopping season this year than last. Sales are expected to grow, but at their slowest rate since 2008.
All right, we're 2 minutes into the trading day. Right now, the Dow is down 103 points, S&P down 30, NASDAQ down 147. That's the latest news. Traffic and weather next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Thank you, Ken. 8:32. Want to tell you about my friends at Window Nation. I like to call fall as open window weather, but if you've got old windows that are hard to open and close, well, that is, of course, an issue, which is why if you're thinking about getting new windows, you've got to call my friends at Window Nation. They've got another great deal going on right now. Get 2 windows free for every 2 that you buy, plus you put no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. Now, these are the folks that I turn to for new windows in my basement studio, and you should too. We're talking about great quality, great customer service, and new windows mean that you're also going to save greatly on your energy bills, up to 30% more. So call Window Nation today at 866-90-NATION. If you're even thinking about getting new windows, you've got to call my friends at Window Nation. The website is windownation.com. And remember that great deal. Get 2 windows free for every 2 that you buy. There is no limit. Plus, put no money down, make no payments, and pay no interest for 2 full years. 866-90-NATION is the phone number, windownation.com. Mark Spain Real Estate. Get a guaranteed offer from Mark Spain Real Estate and sell your home hassle-free. Dan Mandis here. Did you know that Mark Spain Real Estate has been helping homeowners sell their homes for nearly 30 years? That's over 44,000 satisfied clients that have trusted them to sell their homes when starting their next phase in life. Now, the Wall Street Journal and Real Trends both have ranked Mark Spain Real Estate as the #1 real estate team in America for the 5th year in a row, having sold more homes than any other real estate team. So call them today if you need to get out of your home quickly at 855-299-SOLD, 855-299-SOLD. It's all about the guaranteed offer, hassle-free selling, and maximum profit. 855-299-SOLD. You can find them online. It's markspain.com, and start packing. He sounds so happy when he says that, doesn't he?
That's for the Jack Womack, man.
The
He sounds that way all the time.
He does. Except when he's throwing his computer.
Yeah, when he's throwing his computer.
When Jack's throwing computers and coffee mugs, which usually happens about 5:03 every morning as he's trying to get in his first traffic report.
Yeah. He's back there going, the usual setbacks.
That's exactly right.
A few fiddlesticks here and there.
But you know what Jack Womack says when he's like screaming and throwing coffee pots against the wall? He says it, oh, fiddlesticks. He's with that usual,
that Jack Womack coolness.
That Jack Womack. You know what? It's like if sunshine was harnessed into voice, it would be Jack Womack.
Yeah, possibly.
All right, I'm done with that. Hello, Chris.
Hello.
Chris Hand is here. Johnny B's here as well. Ken's here. And
good morning, boys.
That may be the quickest off the rails the Amigos segment has ever gone.
That was like 5 seconds, man.
Went fast, man.
Listen, I was ready for this segment at about 6:32. I'm just going to tell you, just because I'm Israeli ward out. Are you Israeli ward out as I am?
Israeli ward out.
Israeli ward, Gaza ward out. This
like
whole
worn
thing.
out.
Yes, I'm wore out and worn out on the Israeli Gaza
because
war.
like worn out would be like full camo.
Yes.
Ready to go.
Well, that's certainly not me. You ever wear camo?
I've worn camo a time or two.
Okay, good. So have I. Johnny, you ever worn actual camo?
Oh, yes.
All right. I know Ken has.
Yeah, I had a pair of shorts that was camo.
All right, very good.
Did they have cargo pockets?
They did. That's where I kept all my little rainbows for in case somebody had a bad day.
Ken carries around a pocket full of rainbows.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Hey, which one of you guys said you had something for this segment?
I do, Brother Dan Mandis. All right, you boys know what the hottest pepper on earth is, right? According to the Guinness Book of World Records.
Okay.
Well, if you don't, that's okay because the guy who grew the Carolina Reaper just broke his own record with a pepper that he is calling Pepper X.
Pepper X?
Yes.
Wow, you put X on anything and it just suddenly becomes far more mysterious.
I like it. His name is Ed Curry, which, is kind of like the spice. But
yes.
Ed Curry crossbred and grew the Carolina Reaper that's hotter than most police pepper sprays. Now he's created and grown what he calls Pepper X. It's a greenish yellow pepper named the hottest in the world by the Guinness Book of World Records. This South Carolina hot pepper expert describes what happened when he first tried Pepper X.
I was feeling the heat for 3.5 hours. Then the cramps came. And those cramps are horrible. I was laid out flat on a marble wall for approximately an hour in the rain, groaning in pain.
In the rain.
But when we were done and we went out to dinner, I ate more peppers.
Why would anybody put himself through that? That's what I don't understand.
Well, he's apparently what is it called? A glutton for punishment.
See, here's what I don't get. Are peppers like a cult thing? Like, because I don't know if I've ever even eaten a hot pepper. Like
I
that.
have.
I know that people love to do that for whatever reason.
Right.
But I don't know why. Because if it makes you miserable, if it makes you sick, if it makes you feel terrible, why do you do it?
Well, I remember I had the absolute hottest hot chicken at this outfit over on the West End. I can't remember the name of it.
Okay.
My left eyebrow twitched for 3 days.
Wow.
I mean, I would just every now and then just feel this. And when I looked in the rearview mirror of my car, my eyebrow was just going. And it lasted for 3 days.
Your eyebrow is just sounding like Cardi B on her records.
But here's the thing. Peppers, according to this story, they release endorphins and dopamine in the body. And Curry
probably also gives you the runs.
Yeah.
I mean, right?
Well,
is that what peppers do? You ever do
apparently
peppers?
what happened to Ed Curry there.
Yeah.
But he says he likes to share all this with medical researchers, hoping they might help cure disease and pain someday with a pepper. It might, it might make you forget about pain because you're focused on what the pepper's doing to you. But yeah.
3887 says eating hot peppers makes you feel more alive after you feel like you're going to die.
It's very easy to feel alive after feeling like dying.
I guess, man. I don't know. That's part of it. They have this challenge going on, right? There's always a challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And if I remember right, there was a challenge about eating peppers, wasn't there?
Well, there was a challenge that, on a serious note, about this certain cracker or something that came out.
It was the chip, right?
Yeah, it was a chip. And it apparently was linked to the death of a 13-year-old.
That's right.
So
leave it to Mandis to go dark.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about me, man. I can't stay positive.
But this guy,
you have a pocket full of rainbows, Ken. I got a pocket full of something else, and it's all negative. Like a negative Danny Downer is what I am today. Danny Downer.
I just like the way he says he had to lay flat in the rain for an hour.
Gets up just in enough time to have another one.
Like, that's when I knew I had something.
Yeah.
If it was just 40 minutes or so.
Yeah.
It was a solid hour.
But it went an hour, and I knew I was onto something. I called the Guinness folks right away.
Is X going to become the new I? Remember when everything got rebranded as like,
yes,
I this, I that, because of the iPhones? Is X going to become the new?
Apparently so. Yeah, Pepper X.
Hey, Chris.
Hello.
I've got to fire you.
Why?
Well, I think part of what's happening is that
publicly?
When
I knew this day would come. I didn't think it would be during the Amigos segment.
Expect the unexpected. Because when my voice is next to yours, my voice sounds higher. So says 9716, who says, Dan, you need more bass in your voice. Well, I think the only reason that it sounds like that is because I'm next to you. And you've got, Mr. Deep Voice. And I've got Mr. High Voice.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'll talk like this the rest of the Amigos segment.
Hey, fellas, looky here.
Hey, fellas.
Journey's going to be playing in Charlotte.
Wait up, fellas.
We can stop in Knoxville for snacks.
Will they play open arms?
Well, stop by Buc-ee's.
You ever been to Buc-ee's?
I've been to Buc-ee's, but I do. You know what bugs the heck out of me?
Yeah.
Is that every time I drive past the one that, like, outside of Knoxville, right over there, that way, that direction.
Yeah.
There's always traffic at the exit because of the Buc-ee's.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Drives me nuts. I just want to stop in and use the bathroom, and then I get disgruntled, and I'm like, I'm not stopping there.
See, that's what happened to us. I got so tired of the crowd.
Can we just stop the excitement and just treat it like a gas station for a little bit?
Yeah, please.
Everybody's got a look on their face in the Buc-ee's like they're on acid.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like
especially the greeter. Especially the greeter.
It is like sensory overload.
It is,
when you're
man.
in there. It's like there's chocolate, there's beef jerky. It's like all of life's good things all under one roof.
Yeah.
I feel like if a gas station needs a greeter, we've jumped the shark.
Welcome to Buc-ee's.
I do like the fact, though, that they have plenty of urinals. I mean, they've got like 200 urinals.
Yes, they do.
You're never going to have to wait in line.
You had to in Atlanta.
Really?
Oh, it was awful.
Wow.
I turned to go into Buc-ee's, turned right back around and left.
Yeah.
Because there were just way too many people.
Well, maybe what they need to do is start allowing trucks in. Maybe that's the
become a truck stop.
How's that going to fix the line?
Run, Ken, Johnny, and Chris, run.
There's Murphy.
People always get upset whenever people are so silly because I intentionally said one time that Buc-ee's is a great truck stop and people didn't get the joke.
Right.
Murphy Show especially was upset with you.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
Murphy Show doesn't ever get upset. That's weird.
Yeah.
He's usually like the happiest guy around here.
Yeah, he's never upset.
Oh. 5829 says Bucky's brisket tacos are awesome.
Brisket tacos.
Yeah. Can I? But this is a public service announcement from me to you folks. When you go to Bucky's, don't buy a coffee mug. I actually bought a coffee mug from Bucky's, and it's like, Johnny, your wife's coffee mug is a heck of a lot better than the Bucky's one.
Really?
Because the Bucky's, I don't know if that's like a sticker thing on there, but it's already coming off. I've only had it for like 2 months. I paid like $20 for that thing.
20 Buckies.
20 bucks. That's 20 Buckies.
20 Buckies. And what does it say underneath the sticker? What is it, 7-Eleven?
It says not a truck stop.
Oh,
there you go. Anthony says Mandis goes full on Mickey Mouse when he's on the air with Hand. Could you imagine Trace Adkins being on with Mandis? We've tried to do that. Try to get Trace Adkins on.
Yeah.
You know who Trace Adkins is. He's got more of a based voice than you do. And we've tried to get Trace on, come in studio and hang out for a little bit. Johnny, can we not make that happen? I thought he was a good friend of yours.
what? Yeah, come on, Johnny.
Come on, Johnny.
What's the deal, Johnny B?
Come on, Johnny, wake Trace up.
I love people.
This is why Johnny not so secretly hates working with me. You know these two, they hate working with me. Every morning when I'm in mid-monologue, I can hear them talking back and forth in the two-way about me.
Oh,
You'll notice how silent they are because they know that they've been caught. I'm just kidding. Everybody, I'm just kidding.
I didn't know it was a secret. I thought it was a matter of public record.
Yeah, we make it loud enough. Everybody ought to hear it.
Oh, man. All righty. Chris.
I wonder why I don't show up.
What's coming up after the news at 9?
We're going to talk about Janet Yellen, who appears to be back on mushrooms.
Yes.
We're also going to talk about Joe Biden's trip to Israel.
Yeah.
World War III seems imminent, and I want to know how you feel about a draft. So we're going to open the phone lines to that. Plus, Trump in Iowa, just doing base Trump things and more. There's actually a new streaming service, too, I want to talk about.
Really?
For the kids.
Yeah, what is it?
Daily Wire released Bent Key.
What's it called?
It's Bent Key.
Bent Key.
Yeah, and it's all non-woke kids programming. It's a separate app that you can get on your Roku, on your streaming device. And they're releasing a version of Snow White to counter-program the woke Snow White that's coming out. So if your kids want to see Snow White, all the friends are talking about seeing Snow White, hit them with the bait and switch.
Is there a woke Snow White coming out?
Yes, so Snow White and her 7 politically correct companions.
Oh, really? So they've got like a trans dwarf, and they've got a...
None of them are actually dwarfs.
Because you can't be a dwarf and be woke, right?
No, that's a hate crime.
That is, yeah, you have to... So what do you do then if you're...
Well, you watch the Daily Wire version instead.
Okay. But no offense to the Daily Wire. We love our friends at the Daily Wire, but, I mean, I would actually be probably more entertained with finding out how Snow White and how they've wokeized all of these dwarfs. Because how do you woke a dwarf?
How do you woke a dwarf? You just shake them, Dan.
Blow a whistle.
Well, it's Snow White, right? You kiss the dwarf. Is that how you? Because that's how Snow White. Is that Snow White or is that?
That's Snow White.
Okay,
Snow
good.
White gets kissed.
Can I go?
I don't know if she does. I don't know if she does in the woke Disney version. She probably goes to get a kiss. She's like, I don't need no man.
That's exactly right.
When she is one.
Especially one.
Yeah. She's lifting barbells. I don't need this.
All right. Very good. All that and more coming up after 9. The Kellum Stem Cell Institute. So many of us deal with autism and sports injuries and things like concussions, even Lou Gehrig's disease. There is good news now with the Kellum Stem Cell Institute. Whether it is you or a loved one suffering, there is now this cutting-edge treatment available for you from the Kellum Stem Cell Institute. That's right. Dr. Ethan Kellum specializes in the harvesting of and then the redeploying of your own stem cells to attack inflammation in your body to help it heal. This is your body providing your cells and your solutions. And Dr. Ethan Kellum can help you today. Now, Dr. Kellum has been named as an official doctor for the Tennessee Titans and just got back from Hungary, where he was working with Team USA. They also, by the way, now accept care credit. The Kellum Stem Cell Institute, find them online at 615-850-4415, 615-850-4415 for the Kellum Stem Cell Institute. Call today for your free consultation, KELLUM, KellumStemCellInstitute.com. Your body, your cells, your solution.